Welcome into the MPW Digital Postgame Show following Ole Miss's 31-17 win over LSU. We're brought to you by Walk-Ons Sports Bistreaux. I'm Neal. That's Chase. We'll be with you for the next little bit. We're going to get Pete Duis on real quickly in just a second. Then we'll get Jeffrey Wright. We'll get Brian Rippy. We'll take your calls eventually on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. I want to tell you quickly about Walk-Ons. They're coming to Oxford, here in weeks. I think they're hoping to be ready to roll by the time the Vanderbilt game is played on, November the, 20th, 21st, something like that.
Anyway. 20th, because it's Liberty, A&M, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they're hoping to be up and running by the time Vanderbilt comes to town. When they do, please make Walk-Ons a part of your weekend in Oxford. And don't forget, if you're in the Jackson area, 720 Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland, be a great place tonight to celebrate the win, watch the other football games, watch the National League Championship Series, whatever it is that you want to watch. Great food, great atmosphere, great beer selection, all that stuff, fantastic service. You'll love it at Walk-Ons Sports Bistreaux. And when you go in, please make sure you tell them how much you appreciate them sponsoring this particular show. Chase, how are you?
I'm lovely. Looks like everybody's excited, not having to go down to the wire for a game like the last couple weeks. Ole Miss
certainly made the writing easier. I'll tell you that
it did. Just did a different way today. You look at it, and I wrote about it. A lot of words you could use, and in some ways even kind of a renewal, because it's the first packed house since the Matt Luke era, since the pandemic, since all the stuff that's been going on for really 5 years. I mean, if you look at it truthfully, since 2016. I mean, the last time there was incredible optimism for the program prior to this season was probably when they knocked off Georgia, when they had all those games against Florida State and Alabama and that kind of stuff. Early in 2016. I mean, even just the town. I mean, how busy it was yesterday, how packed everything was, the stadium, the Eli Manning thing. You got Arch in town. It was just finally kind of a cleanse a little bit, I felt like, for Ole Miss today and on the weekend. And you wanted, if you're Ole Miss, to pull that off with a win. And they did. They dominated it, but did it a different way. Matt Corral did all he had to do. He managed the game. He made no mistakes. He was playing with a hodgepodge offensive line, playing with hodgepodge wide receivers for a lot of times, but he still hit 9 different pass catchers. He did a lot of good things. He made it work. And that defense, LSU's going in to try to make it 14-0. They stop him, get the interception on 4th down, and then had a series of series there where they stopped LSU over and over and over again, allowed Ole Miss to find its footing offensively. You mentioned this on the message board. We'll talk to Pete about it in a few minutes. But Lane and Levy found something. They took advantage of that the rest of the first half. They were able to pace themselves, end up with a 10-point lead at halftime. And the defense gets 4 or 5 stops in a row there that allowed all that to happen, and then that set the course. And from there, LSU has been through a lot. LSU has a lame duck coach, and it was packing up the tent at that point for the Tigers.
We do have content items up at rebelgrove.com. My column is up. Walker Bailey's notebook is up. Chase's observation will be up.
It's up.
Oh, it's up. Yeah, so there you go. 3 content items up at rebelgrove.com. Calling Pete now. We'll talk to Pete, because I want to get his thoughts on some adjustments that Ole Miss made late first quarter, going into the second quarter, when I thought the game completely changed.
How's it going, guys?
Pete, good to hear from you. First of all, thanks so much for all you've done over the course of this football season. I know it has impacted the way that I watch games. It impacted the way I watched the game today. I could tell, and I know that a lot of people have really enjoyed it. So first of all, before we even get started, thank you.
Well, man, I'm glad. I've enjoyed doing it myself. It's fun, kind of diving into some of these opponents and just diving into what Ole Miss does from week to week has been fun. So I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the feedback, and I'm glad people are enjoying it.
So, what did you see? I know Ole Miss made a change. They went with Caleb Warren early. He couldn't go. It was pretty obvious that he was going to give it a shot. Didn't work. They made a change. They moved Orlando Amana to guard. They brought in Bryce Ramsey at center. And from that point forward, they just dominated in the run game. I don't have the numbers here in front of me. Chase probably does, but from just a numbers standpoint, they just dominated.
266 on the ground today.
266 yards on the ground, most of that coming second, third, early fourth quarter. The final score was 31-17, but LSU did some damage in the fourth quarter when the game was decided. What happened?
to me, the kind of interesting thing is, despite being down some bodies, right, despite some of the injuries up front, is Ole Miss is still committed to running the football. Now, the injuries on the perimeter probably give them even more reason to stay committed to running the ball. But we've seen Ole Miss have a ton of success this year going downhill, running a lot of inside zone, doing different things that are hitting inside and hitting quickly and letting the backs get downhill. Today, they still had some success there. It's not like they completely abandoned that. Eli's long touchdown run that kind of broke things open was actually, I mean, it was like a zone lead, a zone ISO play. And he was able to get outside and make something go. But even on that play, if you look at it, there's trouble in the backfield. LSU gets some penetration, and Eli makes the right cut, and it's 3rd and long. They're in man-to-man coverage, which means that everybody's eyes are now chasing a receiver that recognizes man and is running that DB off. And so you don't get the same fit from the secondary to protect the run game. So it was a really nice call on 3rd and long. But most of their yards really came trying to get outside a little bit. I think part of that is recognizing, and it's one of the things that we talked about on the pregame show, is, LSU is good up front defensively. Ed Orgeron will always be able to recruit good defensive linemen, and he's certainly done that in Baton Rouge, and there's talent there. And you combine that with the missing pieces up front offensively, they decided, hey, the answer is going to be on the perimeter. And they did some interesting things. A lot of people were upset on the message board and on Twitter the first drive when Ole Miss goes for it and gives it to Parrish, and he gets stopped behind the line. And what Ole Miss was doing was they were using an outside zone or wide zone run scheme, and they were trying to make it look a lot like an RPO. It's really a design screen that they use a ton in those situations. And so they were kind of protecting a concept that they like and trying to complement it with what clearly they thought could be an effective piece of the game plan. And it didn't work. Well, they didn't execute. Right, so because they came back to it time and time again. Eli's touchdown run that got called back by the hold on the left guard was the exact same play. Another touchdown later in the game, and then I think a 3rd down run to keep them moving inside the red zone. They continually went back to that scheme. They decided, hey, our best players up front right now are our tackles, and in particular Nick Broker and his athleticism. So let's take advantage of it. Let's try to get the ball on the perimeter in the run game. And, Snoop Connor gets downhill and he's really effective, but he has the ability to get on the edge too. But you look at the other kids that they're playing back there, they're comfortable getting the ball on the perimeter. So I think being committed to working a little bit wider in the run game and not being so A-gap and B-gap conscious in what they're trying to do. I think, one, it negated some of LSU's talent. It took advantage of Ole Miss's athleticism, both up front and in the backfield, and clearly it paid off.
Real quick note as we start to talk about, and we'll talk about a lot tonight, how the tone of this season maybe is changing. Tennessee responds to Alabama's opening touchdown with a drive of their own. It is 7-7 in Tuscaloosa, Tennessee. And the interesting part of college football fandom is that you go from absolutely hating a team a week ago to tonight. At this point, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you probably need to break out some orange.
Hey, you want them throwing everything but golf balls tonight.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's you want them out there having success tonight if you're an Ole Miss fan.
Yeah, for sure. So it's 7-7. That game still about midway through the first quarter. Defensively, I thought DJ Durkin, Chris Partridge really had a nice plan. You and I both, when we signed off on Wednesday night for the pregame show, we both said, a little worried about Ole Miss's ability just to handle the physicality of LSU's run game. Not only did they handle it, Pete, they kind of dominated that aspect of the game. They got a lot of hits in on Johnson, actually knocked him out of the game. Nussmeier finished it for LSU. It was after the opening drive, which frankly was kind of what I was concerned about from an Ole Miss perspective. After the opening drive, that defense not only answered the bell, they dominated.
I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. And I think, one, they knew after the Arkansas game they had to be more aggressive, right? You can't count on winning every game like that. And so we see them come out against Tennessee. They play more aggressive. And it's not a great night. Tennessee's very efficient. They're doing some good things offensively. But they do enough. They generate enough big plays. They get enough stops. They started getting offenses behind the sticks. No longer was an offense lining up with 3rd and 2. Suddenly it's 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 12. And statistically, your odds of getting off the field are so much greater. So I think they got more comfortable in that Tennessee game of being aggressive. And you see that today. And I thought today they had a great mix of when we're going to pressure and when we're going to rush 3 and play zone. And the thing is, when they can get teams into obvious 3rd down situations, you have a guy like Sam Williams who can rush the passer. Right. So, but you have to get them out of 3rd and medium, 3rd and short, where he's having to think at the snap. You get him into 3rd and long, and it is full on pass rush mode. And a kid like that can really use his ability. And so I think being more aggressive in the play call, being successful, getting into long down and distance situations. One of the things that we talked about on the pregame show that stood out a little bit to me early on was we talked about with LSU how much the personnel in the Florida game in particular speaks to what's coming, right? When 72 and 87, I believe, were in the game together, and 72 is the extra offensive lineman that's essentially playing tight end. They're running the football. You know it's coming. When 80 is in the game, it's passing game. If he's more of a tight end position and not flexed out as a receiver, it's a lot of bootleg stuff. And if I'm seeing that, there's not a doubt that Durkin and Partridge and the rest of the staff at Ole Miss is seeing that, right? And so I think a lot of their game plan today was based off of personnel. They knew, hey, these bodies are on the field. Here's what we're getting. And so right down to the 4th quarter, when Ole Miss makes a big stop, LSU lines up in a formation. They fake the snap count, look to the sidelines, and they adjust the formation. And as soon as they do, you see Campbell start adjusting the Ole Miss defense. And they run the counter play that they had run last week multiple times and giving Florida absolute fits. And Ole Miss fits it perfect and gets a stop and gets off the field. And that's game planning and that's coaching. I mean, that's identifying a tendency, and then, that's one of the biggest things with coaching is it doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter what you see in the press box. What can your kids recognize and react to on the field? And right now, with some of the more mature players that Ole Miss has on the back end, they're starting to recognize things better, and the coaches are able to make calls off of personnel from the opposing team. And that's when you see a defense really just start to play better. And Ole Miss certainly played better today than they probably have all season.
Yeah. They did some things today that made me think, frankly, going into this week, I thought, well, you better beat LSU because I just don't think you're winning at Auburn. And the effort today, as balanced as it was, now they got to get some bodies back. But I'm like, now I'm kind of interested in that game. Ole Miss is going to go into that game in the top 10 in all likelihood. Auburn's going to move up to 17-ish. It's going to be a massive stage. And quite frankly, it's time to start, and we'll talk about this in a minute when Chase and I get rolling here. It's one win away from the narrative really changing from, hey, this is, got a chance to be a really good season to, no, you're in a different conversation than you were a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it certainly, I mean, you're right. A win next week can obviously change the conversation. And that's going to be one of the things, I think, is who knows what that locker room is like. I certainly don't. I don't know any of those kids. But, controlling that narrative, right? I mean, people will get tired of the rat poison thing. But the more you win, the more that you're going to see. And the last time that we started to see a ton of conversation around Ole Miss is going into the Alabama game. And obviously didn't play the way that they would probably have liked to have played. So, one of the keys, I think, for this week is you come off a big win, right? First time you beat LSU, and I think they said 6 years. And, honestly don't play great offensively, but you do enough. There are some things I think that they would like to have back. They were certainly effective. But I think by their standards, there's some times where they would have liked to have seen them convert that they didn't, and some of that kind of stuff, and especially early in the game. So, what does that conversation look like? How does it affect the kids in your locker room? And ultimately, I think you're right. Who's back out of the training room and in a uniform? Because, we saw LSU run for a ton of yards last week against Florida, but Auburn is built a little bit differently. I mean, Auburn knows what they want to be, which is what been part of the issue with LSU is not necessarily having that identity offensively. Auburn's different. They know what they want to be. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play action. And if Nix keeps playing the way he's going to play, it's going to be a real challenge for the Ole Miss defense. But the way they played today gives you a lot more confidence than, like you said, than I had Wednesday night when we signed off.
How much of this stuff, Pete, like what you're talking about? I mean, we'll do all this on Friday, so everybody can tune in and whatnot. But how much of that translates to what Auburn wants to do? I mean, just a really early look at that from that standpoint.
Yeah, some of it certainly I think translates. I mean, when you see LSU like today get into their heavier sets and play with their true tight end on the field, because Auburn is not putting 3 tight ends on the field and just getting after you. They still have athletes out wide, and they're doing a lot of different things. And so, the difference to me is, and I've watched Auburn some. I can't say that I've been 100% dialed in on them, but they live in their main personnel grouping, and they do have personnel packages that they sub in, but they have a little bit more diversity from their base personnel grouping. So it's going to be maybe a little bit more difficult for Ole Miss to fully hone in on, okay, hey, this kid's in the game, 80% run, here's how we're going to attack it. You may have to be a little bit more balanced, and that's when it just gets into that having a feel for the game and understanding, hey, they've had success here. I expect them to continue to run on second and long. It's what they've done all game. So here's how we're going to attack it, right? And that's where, as a coach, if the same tendencies don't pop out, and maybe they do, maybe when they run their breakdown, they do. But if those same tendencies don't pop out in your preparation, it becomes a lot more about feel. And when it is a feel game, I'm curious to see if they're still as confident being aggressive defensively as they were today.
Pete, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. I look forward to previewing Auburn with you on the MPW Digital Pregame Show next week. Thanks, bud.
Definitely, guys. Thanks for all y'all do.
Going to take a page out of Matt Moscano's book right now. We have a good many people coming in. Like the stream, please. It would do me a favor. I would really appreciate that. So hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button, if you need to even get out, hit the like button and come back in, depending on if you're on mobile. Just do that. You'll be right back in like 5 seconds. We'll call somebody in a minute, but you'll not miss a single thing. So just FYI there. Get on that.
Check with Jeffrey, see if he's quasi-ready.
Yeah, Rippy's ready too.
Oh, Rippy's ready too? Okay.
Yeah, we can do whatever you want to do.
Okay. Jeffrey's show might still be going. I'm not even sure.
I'll ask.
Yeah, please hit the like button. That helps us. Cost you nothing. We would really, really appreciate it. We could yell and scream about it the way Matt does, but
I bet he is yelling and screaming right now, though. I have his stream up just to see if I see anything in the stream that cracks me up. But I do have his stream up. We've got Alabama, Tennessee on TV1. We've got South Carolina, Texas A&M on TV2. So far in the SEC today, Arkansas and Pine Bluff played a football game. And then Vanderbilt even laid down and played more dead than usual against
what was the Arkansas
State.
final? 45-3.
I have no idea.
I think it was 45-3.
Okay.
They were up 45-0, and they took all their starters out. And I think it stayed there.
Did you see this? I mean, you might have already knew this, and I knew Arkansas wouldn't play A&M. Play Arkansas State, but it was the first time they played an in-state school since like 1930 or something.
Yeah, since I think it was 43.
Okay,
since
yeah,
the last
whatever.
time they played. They played what is now Arkansas Monticello back in 1943. It was the last time they played a team from the state. Yep.
Wow. That's a political thing?
I don't know. Beats me. I mean,
you would think, because otherwise you would think at some point over that many years and decades.
I mean, I would guess that the only team that's in the state that would even be capable of playing them would be Arkansas State, and I would suspect they view Arkansas State in much the same way Ole Miss views Southern Miss.
Like, what am I getting out of that?
What is it? What's in it for me?
Ole Miss went to Arkansas State, so I mean,
well, that's true. But if you're Arkansas,
Eli played there.
What's in it to play Arkansas State? If you beat them, ho hum. If you lose to them, it's the end of the freaking world.
I mentioned this in my 3-2-1 this morning, but a ton of former players back in town today. And I mean, Neal said it today. We were talking about the end zones and different things. Ole Miss pulled off this Eli Manning thing as well as humanly possible this weekend in all regards.
Yeah.
And having an actual official event for former players last night was really appreciated by former players. I heard from several different people over the course of the last 48 hours or so that they were just kind of elated to be able to get there, get together. I mean, Romero had never met Patrick Willis, for example, over the course of the last 24 hours. So props to that on something that should happen more, that helps your program in a number of ways, and kind of kicked off the weekend a little bit. But nonetheless, it was there. Yeah, but look, year 2, top 10 here on I guess tomorrow when the polls come out. We all said 8-4, 9-3, something like that. They are. It shows you how expectations change because they're just wins over Vanderbilt and Liberty from 8-4, and that would be seen as almost a disappointment right now.
Yes.
So I mean, it's one of those what would be seen as a disappointment.
What were the other scores? Mississippi State beat Vanderbilt pretty handily.
45-6, I believe, was the final score there, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it was Vanderbilt had 150 total yards, something like that.
Oh.
I mean, they're
horrible.
They were worse than even they typically are.
They
were terrible.
It's disgraceful how bad they are.
I mean,
but yeah, I agree with you. I thought everything from I thought the whole end zone thing even looked better in actuality than it did.
You think so?
I thought so. I thought it was just genius. I thought it looked better and better as the day went on. They made the 10-yard line red.
That was good. Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah, I mean, you could tell Eli was touched. He got to celebrate it with his family. Beautiful family, by the way. Those girls are gorgeous little girls, and yeah, I mean, it was cool.
His son, who's in the class of 2038, was on hand.
Yeah, we built a rivals profile for him.
Probably get an offer by like Oregon,
probably
sometime.
But it was cool. I mean, it was neat, and that's what you want to do. And then on a day like that, that's a horse collar. On a day like that, you
win the game.
You want to win the game, and you want to win the game in a way that, like I wrote, on a day when you're honoring the past, the future looks pretty bright. Like the immediate future looks pretty bright. I mean, I thought that was their best win of the season.
It was their best win of the season. The program,
even though I don't think LSU's the best team they've beaten this year.
No. But it was in totality. It was all 3 phases. I mean, you hit the kick that was important at the time. I mean, you did so many different things there, but the defense just contributing to the point that they did, I felt like was the key in this one. And the football. I mean,
yeah,
just kind of ran through LSU a little bit from that standpoint.
Scott, thank you for the super chat. It's his first sellout in a minute. Defense making difference in a big game for sure. I want to make sure I recognize the super chatters. Thanks to Ben. Says happy birthday to you, Chase.
Of course.
And then Larry Joe, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Who are we going to?
We can call Brian in a second.
All right.
Jeffrey has not reported back, so I'm assuming he is still on air.
Okay.
Ole Miss just sent out an email asking for tickets to be sold for the next home game, which is Hugh Freeze's return with the Liberty Flames.
For whatever reason, my FaceTime is not recognizing Brian's name, even though he's in my contacts. Let me see.
You need it?
Yeah, send it to me. Make sure I've got something right. School sending out an email saying what?
Just trying to get tickets sold for Liberty.
Ah.
Hugh Freeze is mentioned nowhere in the email.
He's not.
No.
I don't know what the Ben Brown injury is.
Upper body.
Yeah. That's my guess is some shoulder related. And look, at some point, if a guy just can't go, you're better off giving him a week of rest.
And look, that was an underrated thing today because they ran the ball, like you said, with Caleb Warren being banged up and Orlando Amana playing guard at one point today. I mean, it was all shuffled around.
Calling Brian Rippy right now.
What's up?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're lovely.
We're good.
Watching Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, and A&M. A&M already running down the field for
Is that a pick six?
A touchdown.
I think that was a pick six.
Was it?
Yeah, pretty week
Or a
slate. This
punt
was the
return.
first
It was
week
4th
I'd
and
been
10.
home in about 5 weeks to just sit down and watch football all day. And I got to say, the schedule was underwhelming, but kind of entertaining at the same time.
So in this one,
Real quick before we get rolling, thanks to Marco. He says, in a weird way, that was the most disappointing, dominant win over LSU that I can remember. I'm almost as old as Neal. I mean, if you're just looking at the scoreboard, if Snoop Connors, and it was the right call.
Could have easily have been
fumbled the
38 to
ball.
10.
It's 38 to 10, and it. But I'm telling you, it just doesn't matter. And then Joseph Eubanks says, great showing by the defense. When was the last time Ole Miss held a conference team under 100 yards on the ground?
It's been a minute.
Winning comes easier when you can run and stop the run. It's pretty basic stuff. And Brian, Tennessee just scored again, unless there are flags on the play.
There will be on the next one.
On a 3rd and 26?
57-yard TD reception
From our old friend Javante Payton.
Is that who that is?
Yeah.
How about that?
Look, I don't think they'll win, but that game could get weird. And Alabama, I mean, they have to hold serve. I know I'm stating the obvious, but stranger things have happened, I guess.
Listen, we're early. It's 14-7 pending, 13-7 pending the PAT. 26 seconds to go in the first quarter, so I'm going to state the obvious here and tell you there's a lot of football left. But if Tennessee could snap its 15-year losing streak to Alabama and win today,
Next week's the game of the year.
Next week is the game of the year in the West. I mean, it just is at that point. Because for Auburn, it would be a chance to take a stranglehold because they
get to play them.
They get them. Yeah.
And they'd get them with one loss. Yeah, well, I guess that wouldn't matter, actually. Sorry, I had Mississippi math, MIS education, scratch that. But yes, you're right, stranglehold.
I mean, Auburn still has control of its own destiny as of this moment. But boy, if you let them look even more mortal than they've looked all year, who knows? Anyway, 14-7, the PAT was good. So 26 seconds to go in the first quarter, and the Vols lead Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Somebody in the SEC got fired for not calling a hold or something on that play. I mean, that's what Saban is right now saying. Was they did something. Call it.
I thought 25 was a lot of points, just given the way Tennessee can move the ball. I know they're kind of like Ole Miss with no defensive depth, but Alabama's been a little bit human defensively, and I thought that was a ton of points, particularly if Hooker was going to play, but I didn't know that going in.
Yeah, well, they didn't say until yesterday that Hooker was going to play. What was your takeaways from Ole Miss's win over LSU?
Defense played pretty well after the first drive. You know, LSU seemed like they had 3 or 4 scripted runs coming out, and Ole Miss didn't fare very well against them. And the first, 16, 18 minutes of that game, you're thinking, oh, man, this is playing right into LSU's hands. And for the lack of a better phrase, Ole Miss seemingly just kind of kicked their ass after that. I was I guess I'm stating the obvious again, impressed with the defense. The biggest thing to me after watching 2 weeks of this, and with Jake Springer back, they just seem like a little bit of a different defense, and they hit on this a little bit on the broadcast. And people like us watching football, unless you're some sort of X's and O's savant or pretending to be, this is the kind of stuff we may not notice or at least not know how to notice. But they talked about how not only Springer's presence being at the line of scrimmage is a good thing for Ole Miss, it put Otis Reese back into more natural position, and it just seems like the ripple effect of that has made a lot of difference for Ole Miss, particularly in run stopping. I think LSU, even after that first drive, ended up at like 3.3, 3.4 yards per carry in the first half. I mean, they got 70 yards and ran it 21 times. This looks like a different defense if they can stay healthy, particularly with Springer on the field. I think maybe the sample size that mattered was actually probably the 16 quarters he was out versus the 4 that he played before Tennessee.
I mean, I told Neal, I put it in observations, LSU had 24 total yards in the second quarter and 42 total yards in the third quarter. That was it.
And it wasn't like they were the offense was off the field a lot. The defense just played pretty well.
so much shuffling on the offensive line, shuffling at wide receiver. They just kind of made it work today. I mean, Matt Corral did everything he had to do. He was smart about when to run, smart about when to slide, got some drives extended with his feet. How much of that was just impressive in your mind, and how much of that is, hey, they got to get some guys healthy before next week? I mean, where do you sort of sit on today versus moving forward, considering where they're at roster-wise?
I think both of those are absolutely true. It seems very clear they need to get absolutely healthy. I mean, it was funny. Weldon has a pretty good beat on guys, particularly the non-freshmen, in terms of how they've kind of progressed at Ole Miss. And he said pretty emphatically on Sunday, like, they're not moving Miles Battle back to receiver. And then halfway through the second quarter, not that they've moved him back there permanently, he steps out there and catches a pass. And I just thought that was a pretty good indicator of how the coaching staff feels about the receiving core. After, I would say, Sanders and Drummond. So I think getting Sanders healthy is huge. But as you mentioned, they just kind of made it work, and I think that speaks to Kiffin and Levy and their preparedness and planning going into a game, as well as number 2 at quarterback. And I think Ole Miss's silver lining through all these offensive injuries was having all 3 running backs healthy, because all 3 of them made huge differences in very different ways today. And I think that has helped them supplement some of their injuries at receiver. But, yeah, I mean, they absolutely need to get healthy at receiver. It doesn't look great after Drummond so far. And I guess with Sanders going out, that's kind of underscored the importance of not having Mingo as well. It seems like kind of a double whammy there, if that makes any sense at all.
I have a sense they get Sanders back soon. The fact that he didn't play today told me that it's like, you know what, he's getting close, and rather than have a setback, let's
make sure we get it.
Let's get him back.
What was it? I had trouble even watching the game the second time against Tennessee, identifying precisely when he went out and what it was.
He has an upper body and a lower body, and I don't know what's keeping him out.
It's a shoulder and a knee.
Okay, so it could be anywhere between the head and the feet.
Yeah.
Got it. So hopefully he'll be back soon.
I was told he was week to week, which the fact that he didn't go today tells me that, hey, let's wait and get him healthy, and because he's a guy that the health, obviously, I mean, this is another obvious statement, but the healthier he is, the better he is. He's never been known for playing through a lot of pain, even though I think he did finish the Arkansas game, is one where he suffered the shoulder injury. I do think he played this. He made that play. He made that play healthy. Did Danis play today? He didn't, did he?
I did not see him out there at any point.
Jaden played a lot.
And Jaden played, yeah.
Shakur Pearson had a catch.
Casey Kelly with a touchdown.
Yeah, Casey had a catch. Dontario's just a big part of this team right now. There just aren't a ton of weapons. I mean, if that's the thing, I mean, you talk about Ole Miss in the transfer portal. You're calling up any receiver who you think could help and going, hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but we're just like duct tape here. Come play.
I also noticed that the officials determined that Max Johnson is a shitty quarterback because he does not get the intentional grounding call when he throws it away. That's fine. You can intentionally ground it because you just kind of suck and you throw it over everybody's head. So I did notice that.
I didn't have a problem with the Corral intentional.
No, I didn't either.
But the one on Johnson's like, well, it's the same thing. He's throwing it away.
No, because he's a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
So they don't trust him to actually throw the ball at the receivers. That's the only answer. Otherwise, it is still the dumbest rule in the history of the world. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian. Whatever.
One last receiver note. We saw a very brief snapshot of J.J. Henry, did we not? They threw a deep ball down the sideline because I did the classic, who the hell is 86?
Oh, I didn't even see that.
He went down the sideline once. So, I mean, they were definitely emptying the bottom of the bucket. To your point, Neal, about going in the portal and any receiver that could help you saying, hey, you can come play here. That seems to be a product of that whole crop of guys, the two Jackson guys. That whole crop not really kind of progressing. And with Quay Davis, we haven't really seen, I guess that ship has sailed. Just those younger receivers, no one has really emerged at all. Actually, going into this week, I would have actually bet more on Danis having more of an impact in this game than Jaden. Not that he had an impact, but seeing Danis not play and Jaden play was actually kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, Jaden, looking at it here, he had 1 catch, 3 targets in the game. Yeah, Danis did not play. They got a lot out of Drummond. He had 8 catches on 9 targets.
Yeah.
Switch over to defense for a second. And I know we all know this, and I mean we've talked about it all year. But when you really think about it, Mark Robinson, coming from where he has, dude was at Presbyterian in Southeast Missouri and played freaking running back for the second week in a row, kind of dominating a little bit from that linebacker position. He had 12 tackles today to lead the team again. He's done that twice in the last 3 weeks. I mean, Ole Miss has been pretty poor at linebacker for a long time, and that we've been covering the team the last 5 years or so. Robinson and Campbell combined for 22 tackles today, and Ole Miss got to the quarterback 5 times.
I hate to bring everything back to Jake Springer, and I tried to bring this up with Weldon on Sunday, and he was like, I don't know, there might be something there. But both of those games since they've had Springer back, they've been more aggressive, trying to both get after the quarterback, and it seems like they've let the linebackers loose, particularly when it comes to the running game a little bit more. And now you've seen with him back on the field, Mark Robinson kind of, for the lack of a better phrase, be unlocked both games. I'm not saying there's a direct correlation there, but I just wonder if there's some sort of the way they're playing now versus the way they were 2 weeks ago that has helped him. The other thing with linebacker, you saw a ton of Momo Sonogo today. That was kind of surprising to me. I don't really know why, but I don't know if y'all noticed that. He was on the field a hell of a lot more than he had been really all year up until that point. I don't really know why, though.
So he played a lot just because they're trying to not overplay Campbell, I think.
That would make sense.
Momo.
I guess, you got through 3 weeks there. You had, I think, 4 weeks in the season. Sonogo didn't play in the first half of any game, but he was out there a lot. But that makes sense, right? I mean, they're on the field a ton.
Yeah, you don't want Chance, because I think Chance is playing hurt. Obviously, he's playing and is very effective, but I do think when you have a guy that's playing 80-something snaps a game at linebacker. And part of his game is athleticism, right? Alabama fumbled. Part of his game is shadowing a quarterback and that kind of thing. And so you want him to be as fresh as possible late in games. And if Momo can give them some quality snaps, and he has now for a couple weeks in a row, that's obviously a positive. I mean, they're starting to develop some depth at linebacker. And then the running game, to me, that's the thing. I mean, today was the first game in a while that I kind of felt like all 3 running backs were really good.
They all filled a role completely well and complemented one another in this one. I mean, you saw the first real wow play out of Jerry and Eli, frankly, this season.
Yeah, a big-time
wow play. How many third and longs did they convert on the run? That was huge in this game.
Were they seeing something? There was some alignment when LSU was dropping back? Because they did. They ran basically just kind of a zone blocking scheme right there on third and long.
Well, and on a couple of those plays, LSU's linebackers were clearing out into zones, and you were literally running with the linebackers almost with their backs to you.
Alabama looks discombobulated right now.
Does the way Ole Miss played, I thought I was very impressed with the defensive line today, too. You mentioned getting after the quarterback as well, and that probably helped where, it didn't seem like both edge guys were getting double-teamed as consistently. But Cedric Johnson and Sam Williams both made an impact. I don't remember if each of them were responsible for both of those quarterback fumbles, but they were both kind of in on the play. And just the way they played, I know LSU's line's not good. I don't know if this is an overreaction or not, but in my mind, going into Auburn next week, does that not kind of dramatically change the way you think about their chances?
Yes.
If you can kind of get that performance, given that they're still relatively healthy. That changed my outlook on next week pretty significantly.
If you can run on Auburn, everything is in play at that point, because their secondary's average on a good day. And if you can stop the run or limit the run the way that Ole Miss did today, and it will be more challenging against Auburn because they're a really good running team. Well, then it comes down to, can you pressure Nix? Can you use a guy like Campbell to shadow him, mirror him, whatever the term is? Yeah, look, I watched that game and went from thinking going into the day, hey, I don't know that Ole Miss can beat Auburn, as beat up and tired as they are. And I thought they found new things this week. It kind of changed my outlook. I mean, I don't know what that line will be. I would guess Auburn minus like 1.5, -2, somewhere in there. It's going to be
close to a pick 'em.
It's going to be a super interesting football game.
Neal, you wrote at the beginning of the month talking about Ole Miss setting up for potentially special October. And then I believe that, it kind of changed right after the injuries to just surviving. And you kind of see the path now, right? This is their final game in October. And if you can survive next week, look, with respect to Pastor Hugh, you're going to get a little bit of a built-in bye week after that. If you can just get through Auburn, and then you kind of throw everything you have at A&M. And I know weird things happen in the Egg Bowl, but it feels like if you get over these last two hurdles with a little bit of a breather in between, that's sort of the path to a special season.
Oh, if you win on Saturday at Auburn, and I know fans hate when we do this, but let's face it, this is the topic right now. I mean, we'll talk more about what they did against LSU and all that, but the Auburn game becomes this massive game, and as this game in Tuscaloosa keeps rolling, it perhaps gets massiver. But even if Alabama wins today, it's a massive game because you're exactly right. Look, if Ole Miss beats Auburn Saturday, 11-1's in play because Liberty's not beating Ole Miss. Liberty beat North Texas today. North Texas, not Texas A&M, North Texas, 35-26. Liberty is not going to beat Ole Miss. Vanderbilt is not going to beat Ole Miss. You're going to get A&M at home, and I don't know what the rest of the national slate is, but that game's if Ole Miss wins those games, if Ole Miss beats Auburn and then beats Liberty, that A&M game is going to be super national hype. A&M's up 7-0 against South Carolina early. I assume they'll win this game, and A&M's going to have, 6-7 wins by the time they get to Oxford. A&M's schedule the next few weeks is I've got it here. They've got open date next week, and then Auburn at home on November the 6th. Then they go to Ole Miss on November the 13th. So it could be A&M by that point 12th, 13th in the country, and Ole Miss a top 10 team. And if you win that game, look, all bets are off. It's a totally – the conversation changes today because of the way that Ole Miss played. Throughout the last 2 weeks, it was, hey, let's ride Matt Corral. And today Ole Miss didn't have to ride Matt Corral. They kind of – Matt played hurt, and I thought Matt was a game manager today more than he was anything, which is sometimes what your quarterback has to be if he's beat up. You can't say, hey, go win a game for us today too. Instead, it was, hey, just don't make mistakes, manage the game, we're going to be okay. And Ole Miss showing its ability to do that, I think it changes the outlook for sure. Tyler Fitch, I should say, thank you. He says, thanks, fellas. I don't know if this has been touched on, but Kiffin challenging Eli seemed to have worked. Yeah, he did, Brian. Kiffin absolutely challenged Jerry and Eli the last 2 weeks, but especially this past week.
And Jerry ran hard. He was mean.
Jerry played differently tonight.
Yeah.
Today.
He ran differently. Like his issue seemed to be, a lot of times when he gets met with contact, he just kind of falls backwards, and he seemed to run with the different urgency and ferocity, I guess. I don't know the right way to describe it because I don't know enough about, the intricacies of running back play, but you're exactly right. I mean, he was certainly different today, and that makes Ole Miss a better team. I think they used the running backs as well as you could possibly have used them, and as well as they have used them all year, because I think Chase mentioned a second ago, all three of them filled a pretty distinct role today, and Ole Miss needed kind of each facet of that role. And a lot of times this year, it's just felt like it's almost too many guys at the table and not sure how to use them. I think they figured that out a little bit going into Arkansas, where it was a lot more Snoop, a lot more Parrish, and then Eli in spurts. But it seemed like they played the right notes in that regard today. And Eli was kind of the focal point of that.
You have final numbers on running backs?
Yep, I do. So rushing, Snoop Connor, 14 for 117. It's an average of 8.4 per rush. Jerry and Eli, 12 for 97, a score. That's 8.1 per rush. He also had the touchdown that was 36 yards on the juke. And then Henry Parrish Jr., 10 for 32, a long of 8, a touchdown, and an average of 3.2.
What'd they do catching the ball? Any of them catch a pass?
Parrish had 2 catches for 38 yards. He had 2 targets. He caught both of them. Pearson, Kelly, Corral, Battle, Jackson, Plumlee. Eli, 1 catch, -1 yards on a swing route, and Snoop Connor, 1 target, no catch. So,
pretty solid work by all three.
Mm-hmm. And picked up some blitzes. I mean, considering the offensive line issues, even some communication stuff with guys out, they protected Corral really well today. They really gave him pockets when he needed to throw.
Yeah, they did.
they play much better at home when you can hear.
Yeah.
And they're not having to kind of go, because it seemed like they were a little bit rattled and seemed like had some communication issues at Tennessee. They're a much better, now that you look at Arkansas and LSU, they're much better at home than they've been on the road, which makes sense, but you'd like to see them get a little more sharper, in environments like that. And it kind of plays into next week. Auburn's loud.
Yeah, Auburn can get really loud at night.
You want to take 20 seconds and brag on your boy? I mean, Mac Brown doing some stuff at field position today when that thing was still in doubt.
He did. We saw a lot of my guy today. Between that and the Kincaid Dent to Jerrion Ely handoff at the end of the game, this was a great day for me. I have no complaints on the content front. So congrats to Mac Brown. Congrats to all the private schools across the state. It was a banner day.
That was a phenomenal handoff. That's the kind of handoff that...
How's the towel placement? Is it good, Brian? They got good towel placement?
I thought both were good. I think anyone critiquing that is just looking for clicks.
Okay. Well, people are looking for clicks around
That's
here
for sure.
today,
Yeah.
so,
a lot of people looking for clicks.
Anything else around the landscape of college football before we let you go today?
Not a whole lot. It was, like I mentioned, I got to watch a lot more football this week than I had the past couple. The Kansas game got weird for a little bit with Oklahoma. I just think, outside of Georgia, I'd almost bump Alabama back into the category of the commoners of college football, for the lack of a better phrase. It just seems like everyone is flawed but Georgia, and if Georgia does have a flaw, no one's exposed it yet. It just seems like it. If not for Georgia being head and shoulders better than everyone at this point, this could have been 2007-esque in college football. It just seems a lot of good, some very good, and a ton of average.
Can we go ahead and get Oklahoma beat so we can end this? They look like crap every week.
Caleb Williams Heisman graphic on the broadcast.
Oh, my God.
Today.
And I wrote about this, but I'm going to do it here. This Caleb Williams for Heisman thing, nothing against the young man. I'm sure he's great, and I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Williams were thrilled. And he's definitely had an impact at Oklahoma, but the whole Heisman thing is silly. You want to talk about Pickett? Fine. You want to talk about Bryce Young? Okay, maybe.
The kid at Michigan State.
You want to talk about the kid at Michigan State? Fine. You want to talk about C.J. Stroud? Fine. You want to talk about – that's about it. But I'm not doing Caleb Williams. No. Yeah, he lit up Texas. So did K.J. Jefferson. Are we going to do that too? I mean, stop.
It's a sign, though, that I don't really know why. There is an anti-Matt Corral national media sentiment.
Which should be alarming from a voting standpoint.
Yeah.
Look at the uniforms. If Matt Corral was wearing an OU helmet, it would be entirely different.
It'd be
to
over.
me, that's both sides of it. It's Caleb Williams plays, a good 6 quarters of football, and he's in the Heisman race. Well, Corral's been the most consistent player in the country all year, and it feels like he's kind of an afterthought.
What was like?
I guess Vegas doesn't say so.
Was it
but
Tennessee last week and I gets one person? I guess one vote out of how many every 100 or 1,000 or whatever the hell they are. I mean, Neal has one. Is that Herb Street didn't include Corral in like his top 10 performances of the week last week when he runs for 195, and then today on air basically says that everybody's trying to lose it and nobody's willing to win the Heisman. I mean, it's like just complete tunnel vision. Like it does not even come out of the mouth.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about.
Well, they had Bill Walton on game day today, and Herb Street could have been a little baked off osmosis. I did see his performers last week, and that was a crime. That didn't make any sense.
Alabama ties it up. Bryce Young runs one in. It's 14-14 now, 9:27 to go in the second quarter in Tuscaloosa. South Carolina and Texas A&M, it's still 7-0. Aggies, 1:32 to go in the first quarter.
Tim Tebow gave Kiffin a good pitch on the quarterback stuff this
My
morning.
God.
Yeah, Tim was all in.
I will say that show is a better show than the game day show.
As long as we can keep Marty and McGee from talking.
Yeah, and they did some stuff on that today that, like, some of the stuff they did is just disgracefully bad and disingenuous, and I won't name names, but made me want to throw up just a little bit in my mouth a couple of times. But I'm not a pregame show person anyway.
Not your thing.
I mean, other than the one that I do every week, which is nowhere near that hokey. So, but whatever.
Okay. What's in the nightcap, Brian? What are we doing? What are we watching the rest of the evening?
There's no Pac-12 after dark, so I guess I'm going to enjoy this, 6:30, 7 o'clock slate with probably Braves Game 6 on the one of the secondary televisions and just enjoy the night.
That's about to get started right now.
Yeah, we're about to get that going.
Braves have a chance to win the pennant.
No, Scherzer.
Yeah, Scherzer's
comes out
sore.
relief.
He's
They
still
saved
in
him for
game
7. Then
not
Walker
game 6.
Buehler on short rest is kind of intriguing.
Ooh.
Not kind of. It's very intriguing.
That is intriguing.
Yeah, so that's what's going on. Well, enjoy it. We'll look forward to your podcast sometime tomorrow into Monday morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Y'all be good. Looking forward to next week.
See you, Brian. That's Brian Rippy. Thanks for his time.
Yeah,
we'll get Jeffrey in a little bit. What did he tell you, like 45 minutes?
He said 7:30.
7:30,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said 7:30. Or he's off at 7:30. I don't know what that entails.
That Saturday show they do is a long show. It's like 6 hours.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's a long show.
Ugh.
Mark says we're off by 9:30.
Home game, it's very possible. We get bigger numbers on the road because everybody's sitting around watching it. You're not hanging out in the Grove and the stadium and doing whatever you
I would think Oxford's pretty packed right now.
Have a hunch downtown would be a bit of a mess at the moment, yeah. Because what time are they kicking people out of the Grove? What time is that, guys? What time does that end?
Yeah, I thought you were asking me at first. I was
no,
like, how would I know?
No, I'm looking now.
I mean, Brandon says, Neal, can we please get one last SEC and beyond? Having not spoken to Chris since the last show that we did, I would bet against that, Brandon.
I'm kind of curious what his topics are tomorrow.
Although I would absolutely enjoy having the conversation where we could talk about 2 or 3 of the teams that I got right this year, because I got Kentucky right, I got Ole Miss right. I had Ole Miss at 6-1 going to Auburn. He told me I was insane. And I told him I thought LSU could lose games. And I told him I thought LSU could lose UCLA. They lost. Kentucky, they lost. Ole Miss, they lost.
We're in a world where, look, this isn't going to happen. But it's not the I mean, look, it's a lot of ifs and a lot of things have to go right. You're in a world where Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Kentucky could all finish with 1 loss. Not going to happen, but there. Frankly, because I don't think Alabama could beat Georgia. That might be the most unlikely one of the bunch. Because, I mean, Kentucky has a pretty decent shot to win out. That schedule sucks, but still.
I just put a user in timeout.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't do that very often. Like, it's the first time I've done it in weeks.
Oh. Was it bad?
It was just trolling.
Okay. So you're done.
Lydia, Iowa was off today, right? Iowa didn't play.
You don't know?
It's been a week, man. I've been busy.
It's our fair weather Big Ten fan over here. They lose 1 game, and he takes the helmet down.
It's just no.
Did you take the helmet down or did you not?
I did, but there was
I did.
I don't know if you heard. ULM beat Liberty last week.
So that's what.
Yeah, ULM beat Liberty.
So it's not that Iowa fell; it's that ULM rose.
It's that Liberty got beat by ULM.
I mean, Liberty's still on top up there.
Yeah.
It's above all the rest.
We could bring it down in a couple of weeks and just kind of have some fun.
I mean, it is fitting that the Hugh Freeze helmet and the Houston Nut hat have equal billing on our shelf.
Yeah.
Essentially right beside one another.
Yeah.
Along with some baseball that I can't read. It appears to be a Cubs 2015 baseball.
That was a Little League team that I coached.
Oh, okay.
And the kids signed the ball at the end of the year because they actually liked me, which I know is a novel thought, but they did.
Yes, the helmet has been moved down.
Iowa will come back up, but we had to celebrate. That. Texas A&M scores again. It's 13-0 pending the PAT. Speaking of ULM, they lead South Alabama 17-10 second quarter.
So Terry's doing some work down there.
Terry doing some work, wearing it, blinging out in his gold the other day.
If you're ULM, I get that everybody has their thing. It's Flagship Friday. It's Maroon Friday. It's all that kind of stuff. But the gold standard when you're ULM, it feels like a bit of a reach.
It's a new thing.
Just saying.
But, when you play in the Ivy League, sometimes you have to come up with some different things to differentiate yourself.
Yeah, Rich Rod doing work up on Kane.
Yeah.
17-10. Yeah, Tennessee's not winning this football game.
Well, how do you know that?
I feel very good about it. We have Notre Dame SC playing.
Well, it was a highlight. in Notre Dame scored. Notre Dame's still undefeated.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that right? No, they've lost, haven't they?
Yeah.
They lost to Cincinnati. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
I mean, I'm drinking like sparkling water. I mean, like nothing.
Yeah, I can. It's a
bubbly or whatever.
buble or whatever,
Yeah.
sparkling water.
Yeah.
I just had a water. I'm completely out of water at this point.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. I forgot to bring anything in here.
Typically bring 2 things, but I only have 1, which could be a bit of a problem. It's like, I guess it's blackberry flavored. Is that what it is?
How did Alabama get the ball back? 3 and out? Wasn't like glued to it.
What's Tennessee got left?
Tennessee scheduled the rest of the way. Open date at Kentucky, Georgia at home, South Alabama at home, Vanderbilt at home.
So 2-2.
Yeah, in all likelihood.
2-2, 6-6.
Yeah, it's a bowl game. Birmingham, maybe.
They would have taken it going in.
Sure, of course.
But it's also a tough schedule when you got Bama and Georgia every year.
Sure.
It's a bit of a problem. But they'll beat South. Obviously, they'll beat Vanderbilt.
You went out last night, right? What was town like?
Really, 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 really packed. Actually, last night was whatever. Yesterday during the day was, I told people this, it was the worst I've ever seen traffic on the square on a football weekend.
Of course, half of the square was closed.
Because of Square Jam.
Right.
So when you were trying to get to the square down Lamar, because apparently everyone who comes into town believes you have to take Lamar to get anywhere. You cannot go around in any direction. You have to exit onto Lamar, and you have to get to the square that way.
Okay.
The traffic jam went all the way back into the roundabout past Magnolia. Like, you couldn't get into the roundabout because the traffic was backed up all the way from Four Corners at that point. It was fierce.
I've completely lost my stream. Are we still streaming? Are we good?
I don't see any issues.
Oh, so you've got stream? Okay. For whatever reason.
I haven't been staring at it, but yeah.
The last thing I see is Tyler Lee talking about the plane flying the Let's Go Brandon banner.
Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah. Hilden, thank you very much as always. Says y'all should call into Whiskey and Wine and do a simulcast with Matt. I bet he's a little more intense.
Don't you know?
Yeah, what happened? Did they get the trophy? Did they carry the block of wood around? How did they appreciate the doorstop once they won it today? What do we do? I do need a Magnolia Bowl trophy picture. Do I have one?
Oh, that would be awesome.
What?
We get a picture of the Magnolia Bowl trophy so we can put it up on the site.
Put it up on the site?
Talk about it.
Let's see if Ole Miss football even tweeted one out. What's your guess, yes or no?
My guess is...
Yeah, we got one. Okay, that's a pretty good tweet. Ole Miss's football Twitter account, when Ole Miss is winning, can get quite snarky and funny.
Mm-hmm.
Today they have a picture of a plate of corn dogs that has the score written out in mustard and says "Go Rebels," and obviously it has the Frenches, so it says "Thanks for the mustard, Vol football."
Oh, that's funny.
That was good. That's well done. I appreciate that one. Yeah, there appears to be some semblance of a celebration with the Magnolia Bowl trophy.
Okay, I'm back in chat now.
You good now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
All right. I don't know what I did.
They have 4. They've got the trophy held up. Looks like maybe Bryce Ramsey, Kincaid Dent, Hamilton Hall are holding it. Looks like Chance has got it with somebody, maybe Mark. And then it's just sitting on the training table next to Corral in a photo. I mean, maybe they're having to put a new coat of lacquer or something on it before they go put it away. I don't know. Because it's faded a little bit. I don't think LSU took good care of it. I don't think they put the annual polish on it at some point. It looks a little faded. And did you notice that the Magnolia it's almost like it's going up some stair steps or something? It might even be uglier than I thought it was the first time I saw it.
Is this all on Twitter?
Yeah. Go to Ole Miss football and then scroll down. You need the Matt Corral photo.
Okay.
That's what we need. Everybody take a second, please, to see this trophy. I know we all think we know it, but if you haven't looked really closely, you do not know the trophy.
All right, let's see.
Scroll down, Ole Miss football.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's a picture of. There's 4 pictures. Go to the corral one.
It looks like it's even worse than it used to be. Yeah, there's like steps.
What is that?
There's a massive step.
A big step.
And then 2 little steps. And then you put the
flower.
The bloom on the second step. Why would you not put the bloom on either the big, massive step?
Or why don't we just have one little platform to put the flower on? Why are we stair-stepping up to it?
I don't understand that.
And then, what shape is it?
The bloom?
No, the whole thing. Like, what?
Because the bloom's the only part of it that makes sense at all.
Because it's also not symmetrical. Look. One side's like a little higher than the other, I think. I don't think it's completely symmetrical.
Yeah, Matt very clearly is not interested in the
He's
trophy.
protecting it. That was my trophy. Taking it home.
No, he doesn't want to take that home.
You don't think so?
I wonder how heavy it is. It looks heavy.
It's solid wood.
Yeah.
But it's very heavy. But it feels like a china cabinet when you pick it up.
Has to. Like you stub your toe on that, you're not playing next week.
All the letters burned and etched into it.
And the Ole Miss part, the Ole Miss etching looks like they screwed it up, sanded it down, and tried again.
It does have a different kind of outline than the LSU
it's
one.
It's kind of blurred a little.
I wonder who picked out the font. I mean,
yeah, because the font, I've never even noticed this before. Magnolia's in cursive,
and Bowl
is not.
It is no better than a B- in shop class.
And why are you underlining Magnolia but not Bowl? And you're only underlining the magna
through the end.
Magna, not the Olia, just the magna. Why?
Could we not have just gotten like a bourbon bottle and put both teams' name on it and said, you know what, we have a trophy?
And why the different shade of gold on the big step? Why would you have gold on the big step but no gold on either of the other steps? Did you run out of gold?
Look, I've been embargoed for making fun of it for like 2 years because I hurt people's feelings, but I can't help it.
Now that we look at it, it's even worse than I remembered.
What the hell is this thing? No wonder the SEC is getting signed. I mean, and Chance is coming from a conference that has a bunch of really dumb rivalry trophies.
Yeah.
We're going to need to ask him about this week.
Like, frankly, the SEC can't make fun of the Big Ten with this trophy in the mix.
Well, the strength coach probably had to come get it, Lydia. Probably the only way could carry it.
I mean,
Wilson's going to use that thing on Monday. 3 sets of 10, guys.
Yeah.
It does kind of look like a tombstone. It looks like Magnolia Bowl is actually an epitaph.
It does kind of look like a tombstone.
It does.
Like the bottom part is like the vault.
Yeah.
And then that's the stone itself.
Yeah.
And then maybe the steps are like a bench where you sit to reflect on your lost loved one.
So it's actually more of a mausoleum. Like it could even be like above ground, kind of like in Louisiana.
Yeah, and you put flowers on it. We figured out the theme finally.
It's a tombstone.
It
has some Mississippi and Louisiana characteristics.
It is a gravesite.
It's a gravesite.
It is a gravesite. Well, now that I know, it makes more sense.
Yeah, Henry's guy was badly needed on all versions of whenever a rivalry needed to start between Ole Miss and LSU.
Alabama scores. I guess they're pending the PAT. It's 20-14, tied. 2:34 to go in the first half. Bryce Young is 19 of 24 for 201 and a TD so far.
It's Ole Miss's first win in the series since that 2015 game when they beat the crap out of them in Oxford.
Yeah.
As well. So, Coach O was fine today. He was energetic. There in the fourth quarter, he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Like he was counting his money in his head a little bit at that point.
1 million. 2 million.
The Nussmeier kid looked all right.
He did. He made a couple of nice throws.
He's fine.
That throw for the last touchdown was a really nice throw.
Yeah, I mean,
he zipped that.
Whatever. I mean, they're banged to hell too. Because LSU sitting here. LSU's 4-4 now, and they got Bama up next. This thing's weird for them now. They've got 1 win left, potentially.
Who's that?
LSU.
Oh, yeah.
It feels 5-7.
You're giving them the ULM win.
Yes.
I'm not.
Alabama, Arkansas, and A&M. So they've got to beat Arkansas to get to 6-6.
What point do they quit?
But they quit today in about the mid-third quarter. Something like that.
Could quit a lot more after Alabama beats them.
That game any different if they go in 14-0?
I don't know. I still think Ole Miss wins.
Outcome is the same.
But, yeah, it'd be a different deal. It was a big play. It was a big series to stop them there. Yeah, 14-0. You kind of have to catch your breath a little. Instead, you stopped them and drove down, got a field goal, and you know the rest.
Notable ball velocity was being shown in the A&M South Carolina game, and Josh Allen, 62 miles an hour with a football.
The Bills quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody else, or the ones they showed in the mid-50s, and then Sean Watson was down at like 45, 46.
Larry Joe with some anger. Still some anger on the night of a win. But I get it. That would be a tough way to lose a national championship on a punt.
Well, and when you beat them 21-0 a couple weeks later and nobody says a word about it.
Yeah, no one even notices.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
the Sugar Bowl did not happen.
That made no sense at all.
I have not seen Lane's presser go up anywhere.
I don't think it's up yet.
Yeah, they've got a little different. But I've got whiskey and wine up. They smoke cigars during the show mostly. That's their shtick.
They hooked up with IVs again this week?
I don't see an IV today.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I can tell. There was like one guy behind them that kept like clowning for the camera and stuff. I think it was driving Moscona bat crazy. I mean, they're just talking about every coach in the world on whether they can get them right now. That's the entire show.
Oh, I get it.
I mean, everything from Brian Kelly to somebody else.
Brian Kelly's name's come up a little bit.
Has it?
Ryan Brown brought that up on the pregame show.
Oh, was that the one he brought up?
Yeah. Braves apparently lead 1-0. I'll see if we'll flip to that for a second.
Yeah, it feels like they need that one.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Game 7. You want to win Game 6.
With Scherzer on the mound.
Yeah. You want to finish them.
Riley hit a home run or something.
That I don't know.
I'm on the thread, said he's a stud.
But Buehler on short rest might not be the same pitcher that he is normal. Sometimes guys just aren't quite as sharp.
Yeah, Wake put up 70 today. They also gave up 56 and won.
Their quarterback had a big day.
Wake.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible game to watch. There weren't good games to watch early. Everything was kind of. I mean, when Arkansas Pine Bluff at Arkansas is the
only
11
SEC game at 11.
When that tells you we're in for a rough night.
Miami up 14-3 on NC State.
I would highly recommend a Manny Diaz winning games.
Now you got a vote of approval. All good.
No, it's usually the kiss of death.
Yeah. No, we trust our guy. How about that Illinois Penn State thing today? That was something.
So I didn't even realize that after the third overtime, it's nothing but 2-point plays. And I don't like that at all.
Well,
they just went back and forth with 2-point plays, and finally Illinois got one.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois lost its quarterback in the overtime with what appeared to be like a broken arm.
What's funny about it is they don't even call them, like in the game story, they don't call them 2-point conversions. They call them one-and-done drives from the 3.
Okay, whatever. I mean, follically impaired / bald. I mean, you pick your word. It was a 2-point play.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Play football. Yeah, called the shootout format.
Either play football or call it a tie. But don't do that. Don't determine a football game on a nothing but 2-point plays where you just are handed the ball. Okay, here's your one play.
Well, I didn't I don't know why they tweaked it. Before this season, that thing started with the 5th overtime. That at least gives 4 chances for some stuff to happen. They overreacted to that LSU A&M 7 overtime game.
But that was a classic. And that Those games. Okay, so Ole Miss and Arkansas went to 7 overtimes in 2001.
That's correct. And A&M and
Since
Arkansas
then-
and somebody else did too. They've
Since
had two of
then,
them.
so here's my point. So this is the 20th year since that game.
That's correct.
How many overtime games? I know Ole Miss has had overtime games. How many have they had go to a third, a fourth, a fifth overtime?
I mean, handful at best. I don't recall hardly any.
Someone, I'm sure someone in here.
The
could
one on
probably
the
help us.
A.J. Brown thing, it might have gone to a second or a third, maybe.
Okay.
And that's about all.
That's
I
my
got.
point. So the 7 overtime game is going to be freakishly rare.
Oh God.
I mean, so when you have one in a blue moon, can it just be a classic?
One would think.
I don't even like taking the PAT away. I don't like that. Let him kick, and then when the coach down 7 gets a score in overtime, he's got a decision to make. Hey, do I want to end it, or do we want to go? Or we want to extend it?
And then you go from there.
And then you get the Sam Pittman moment at the end of the Arkansas Ole Miss game, where it's like, okay,
so this was written in 2016. Okay.
Okay.
So in the last 5 years, I don't know.
all right,
But in 2016, these were the only. There were only 4 5+ overtime games of the last 20 years at that point.
okay,
And it was Ole Miss, Arkansas 01, Tennessee, Arkansas 02,
okay,
Tennessee 41, Arkansas 38 in 6 overtimes.
okay,
Tennessee, Alabama 51-43 Vols in 2003, 5 overtimes.
okay.
And Arkansas 71, Kentucky 63 in 7 overtimes in 2003.
So there've been 4 of those
Four
games,
it went at least 5 overtimes in the first 20 years of the rule.
and Arkansas was involved in 3 of them.
They were. Yes.
Okay, but that's my point. So one. I mean, think of how many games were played.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's a total overreaction.
Because overtime started in 1996. Because I remember. Was it overtime or just the last play of the game, guys, when Dante Culpepper fell down at the 1-yard line and Ole Miss won? Had Culpepper just not fallen down, Ole Miss would have lost to Central Florida. Yeah, I don't like the NFL rule. I like it better than it used to be, but it still needs another tweak. I'm still not good with it.
I'm just touching base with Jeffrey.
He's good. Sorry.
Oh, is he
yeah,
good?
he
Okay.
just said he's good. If you
Oh,
want to
okay. All right.
Um,
I'll get him on FaceTime.
A&M is celebrating every time I look up at that game.
Yeah, that's not a competitive football game. I don't think anybody thought it could be. Good evening. How are you?
Hang on. Let me call y'all back. It's coming from the wrong thing.
Okay. Having a little bit of a technical issue. His setup in his place can get a little funky. I assume he's still where he does the other. So the Dodgers got out of it. Jeffrey, how are you?
Apologies, I'm well. Yourselves?
We are good. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. How's your day?
Oh man, it couldn't have been any worse than sitting there and dissecting the Magnolia Bowl trophy. So
It's a terrible trophy.
yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like we did this routine 10 years ago.
We did, but
haven't
we
seen it in a while.
actually
Haven't we
looked at it.
I guess it's because it's been that long since Ole Miss has had it. But like, haven't we established the trophy sucks?
Yeah, but we actually found new things that suck about it.
Well, it's just getting older, and no one. That's the other problem. LSU has it for so long, and they have to find it every time. So it's usually in some storage place. They have no idea where it is.
It does look like it's just beaten up. It's older and a little
Yeah.
more roughshod. It's interesting.
There's just no chance that they care about it.
No, and Ole Miss didn't seem to care a whole lot about it. Just like, okay.
But this is kind of my deal. Like, first off, I know, like, let's discuss the Big Ten trophies. You can make fun of them, and we all get our jokes off. It's all like a jug or an axe or something. But they have history. Like, they've been around for 100 years. This is the problem. Like, you can't just say something like, you can't just come up with something out of thin air, especially when it's like the biggest problem with the trophy, and outside of obviously the design, like, there's no, like, it's manufactured. Like, there's nothing that's authentic about it. Like, it's just like, remember that's version 2.0, right?
That is correct. Yeah, the first one broke or whatever. It looked more like a podium.
Yeah, like, my deal is, like, that's the improved one. Like, think about that. But, like, the bigger deal is you can't just, like, think up something out of thin air and, like, this matters. It's like, well, no, it really doesn't.
What'd you think of the game? I know you were watching multiple games, but what'd you think of Ole Miss LSU?
I think it's an interesting question that Chase posed. I think everyone likes to think that game's still the same result if they score at 14-0, but are we sure?
No, I'm not sure. I just kind of watched the way that Ole Miss dominated from that point forward.
Right, but my question is how much of that was LSU kind of, you know what I mean? Like, as soon as they got deflated like that, there was a period, and I give Ole Miss credit, like, you look at the second and third quarters, and they dominated, but I do wonder how much of that is the direct result of them not scoring there.
They got deflated, and it allowed Ole Miss to steady and get some crowd and some momentum versus because
there.
if it's 14-0, my only wonder is, does Ole Miss almost kind of panic offensively for a minute and it spirals even more?
Yeah, and I mean, again, I'd like to think that the outcome doesn't change one way or the other, but I don't think it's a question we should dismiss, because I think it very much made a different game. Now, on the flip side, like, you can look at it. Ole Miss's defense had to step up and make a play. They stepped up and they made a play, and then they got some momentum, and then they just kind of, put pedal to the metal. I think it's very obvious when they're at home, they can tempo people a lot better, I think, than they can on the road. And, the thing that kind of stood out to me was nothing really felt special, but everything just felt in control the entire game from about the second quarter on.
It's kind of what happens when you have one team that goes flat once they get behind, and then Ole Miss was able to run the football to the level that they were. I mean, they were kind of methodical about it because, I mean, Corral, he didn't have to do much. I mean, it was pretty management tonight for the most part. I mean, he was consistent, he was efficient, but
yeah, he made some throws when he had to, but it wasn't really like, I mean, I don't remember anything special, do y'all? I mean, he had a couple of scrambles that I thought, the fourth down where he kind of pump faked and then he knifed forward when they tried to run like counter Q. Well, that was a good play, but like, there wasn't anything tonight that I sat there and was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, it was a consistent, efficient night. I mean, at a certain point, I do think the penalties are a problem, guys.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's kind of.
You can't have 10 penalties. You can't have 10 penalties in SEC games.
No, they've got to get that. They've got to get it under control. They absolutely
had 4 in the first 3 series.
Yeah,
and I think I honestly think, and I know Neal's point was this was kind of what Kiffin was referring to last Monday when he thought it was kind of close to blowout. I think this is what kept. Ole Miss, what kept this game from getting into the 40s, a 42-14 type game was, Ole Miss made some penalties, committed some penalties, and they weren't able to just kind of, they weren't able to just like put 5 drives in a row together.
Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. Otherwise, they crush it, which is something they got to fix going in the next week. Because next week's the big challenge, right? I mean, if you figure out a way, anyway, to get out of Auburn with 1 more point than Auburn has, the entire tenor of November is different.
Completely agree. And I think it's going to be a bigger challenge than maybe some people think, because what Auburn's definitely going to do, Auburn is going to play pretty conservatively in the back end of the defense. Like, Auburn's usually pretty cool under Mason, letting you move it in between the 20s, but they're pretty good in the red zone. And, their front's still very good, so it's not as if you're just going to be able to for sure run it down their throat. And, I think we're clearly seeing at this point going on the road means something now. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really mean a whole lot last year, but it certainly does this year because these environments are back. And for Ole Miss in particular, it makes communication very difficult for them. I don't think they can get into tempo maybe as much as they would like or maybe as often as they would like. And, the same problem is probably going to exist next week. I mean, somebody really needs to step up as another pass catcher other than Dontario Drummond.
And I just don't know who that is.
On the outside,
it's got to be Braylon.
Yeah, if Braylon doesn't play, I just don't know if there's an option, Jeffrey.
That's what I'm saying. I'm at the point right now where I think whatever you get out of Braylon, whenever you get it, it's great, but I'm not really expecting it much.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, for anybody who just joined in, I was told this time a week ago he was week to week. So he's the one guy that I think there's a chance you get him back. And if you get him back healthy, he's a difference maker. If you don't, you're having to manufacture this offense like you've had to do the last 2 weeks.
Because, they missed Dennis tonight.
Maybe I'm being a little too skeptical, but I just don't think you go from not playing this week to, all right, let's go take on Auburn next week. But maybe I'm being misguided there.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be one of those things, and I said this earlier, something a little repetitive. It might be one of those things where it's like, hey, he could go at 60% right now, but let's not. Let's bite the bullet. Let's give him another week to get healthy so that we can get him closer to 90% next week. And if that's the case, that's smart, as opposed to having a setback where you have a setback and now you lose him for 4 weeks. You wait until he's good. And, if you could get him to play at Auburn, you can let him have the next week off. Then you can get him against A&M, and then you can give him a week off. And you could stagger it if you could just get him healthy enough to play.
Yeah, and again, I'm willing to acknowledge that that's a possibility. I thought Jeremy Ely rose to the occasion today.
He did.
I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked fast again. I thought that was a big one.
He did look a lot faster. By the way, I think we're about to get a holding call against Alabama. A holding call. Like, oh my God, they
upset.
They actually
I
did.
Want to talk about this. I laid 14.5 in the first half.
Oh yeah, I don't like your chances right now.
Yeah. Well, did you see the block punt or the roughing the roughing that turned into I've gambled enough to where you force it was 4th and 26 and you rough the punter. You always know what happens after that. That was a big 14-point swing, and here we are.
Yeah.
Is Heupel going to lose or gain 15 pounds in the offseason?
Going to gain.
Because it's going one way or the other.
He's going to gain on the recruiting trail.
You think so?
Yeah. All coaches gain weight in recruiting.
Yeah, I think so. Also, if y'all notice, his plugs are thinning out a little bit.
He needs to fix that.
Yeah, well, he did. I give him credit. He got that new SEC hair when he got the job. He plugged it up nicely, but I don't think it's taking.
Could be his head's getting bigger.
Well, he could be getting wider. I mean, I'll say this. He was much bigger last year at UCF, and then when he got the job, he kind of slimmed down. And if this is going to help make your point, Neal, I think as the season's gone on, I think my boy's a stress eater.
What's the line Saturday?
I guess Auburn 3, right?
Okay.
I said Auburn minus 1.5, 2. But 3's we're right there in the same number.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this.
On a
Chase,
neutral field,
stop putting out the opening number that never exists. I hate when people do that. It drives me insane.
What do you mean?
When that opening number that comes out at 1 o'clock that no one can bet on Sunday. Like, oh my God, they opened at. It was like Ole Miss opened at 15, and it's like, no, like wait until 4 o'clock when the actual number comes out. It's always like an offshore number from someone that no one on the planet can bet.
So the rule should be until the win says something. Shut up.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Until someone in the United States of America that has brick and mortar actually takes action on it, that's not the number. I'm sorry. Like that drives me insane when people do that.
It's more than fair.
Because that line always is like 5 points wrong.
Nick Saban at Alabama, when his team has led at the half, is 156-8.
One of those 8 was 2014.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah.
for sure.
They had all the momentum after the Mathers thing. Fumble.
Yeah, and I also thought Hugh was about to cripple. They won in spite of Hugh's mentality, because you could tell he freaked out at the half. It wasn't like he was like, keep calm.
Somebody's going to beat Oklahoma, right? They're driving me insane.
Oklahoma State.
I don't think Oklahoma State's beating them. Do y'all?
It could.
I don't think they
Oklahoma
can
State
score.
covered today. It was good boys.
Heck yeah, it was. Because I'm sitting there. I had to do the thing where you flip what you want. Because I had +7, but then I had +7, and then Iowa State retook the lead in like the blink of an eye, and they're not really a fast-scoring offense, and so you're sitting there with Oklahoma State with the ball with 5 minutes. You're like, oh my God, what do I want? Like, do I, because you don't really want Spencer Sanders back there slinging it, because now pick 6 is very much in play. But really, like, what you wanted was like, all right, get a couple of first downs, get it down into territory, and then turn it over, and that's kind of what happened.
Any thoughts before you go on Eli Manning and how it got handled today? I thought Ole Miss handled it in a really cool way.
I thought they handled it very tastefully, and I would like to tell every single person that thought this was going to be I'm so sick of the every time anyone does anything, it's an Arch Manning tactic. That was clearly not an Arch Manning tactic. That was honoring Eli, and I thought they did so remarkably.
It wasn't even supposed to be today. It was supposed to be against Auburn last year.
Yeah.
They just said, hey, wait a year. So you had to pick a home game.
Yeah, I thought, and frankly, I thought Lane wearing the Giants jersey was really cool. I thought it was a total ode to the career that Eli had. I know there was talk about Arch on the SEC show this morning and stuff, but
I just don't think that there was nothing about that screamed ploy to get Arch.
no.
Everything about that screamed, hey, thanking him for what all he did, because he didn't have to go to Ole Miss. And that end zone doesn't exist if he doesn't go to Ole Miss.
Yeah, and bringing in all the players that had played with him, all of his former teammates and stuff. I just thought it was really cool. I agree. I'm with you.
I've seen the pic. Now there was also some depressing, like you seeing some of the pictures of some of those guys at like in their 40s. That was a little depressing. But then I realized, oh yeah, I'm 33.
Yeah, wait till you get a mirror.
Heroes have fallen a little bit there.
Exactly. Like it's like, oh God, time is not stopping.
No, it doesn't. I don't know if you've heard, but Father Time.
So
he's covered every line.
Here's my other thought on this. Like, what's the ceiling? Because, I mean, I think next week's a much tougher game than I think a lot of Ole Miss people are
I don't know. You said that twice now, and
It's the hardest game left.
I got to challenge you. I think most people are scared to death of Auburn.
I'm telling you. Well, then it's the people you're talking to.
In this thread, everyone's scared of Auburn.
Yeah, I think it's a house of horrors for them. What's the last time they won there? When that was when he worked with. No, it was when he worked with the defense. Remember, that was the game that he worked with the defense because the offense sucked, and then the next week he said he just worked with the Arkansas game. Then it was just he just worked with the offense that week.
I wrote this in my column. If you think of the last two times that Ole Miss has beaten Auburn at Auburn, they were special teams. 15.
There were 9 win teams in the regular season.
Yeah, Ole Miss has only won at Auburn 3 times in its history.
Yeah, 1999, 2003, and 15, right?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Because it was Tuberville's first year; they won in overtime,
mm-hmm.
and then Eli's senior year, and then they beat Sean White. Y'all remember him?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's cute.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I thought the thing that was encouraging this week, did y'all feel confident in LSU's ability to run the ball at any point?
No, not after the
not
first
sustainably.
The first drive they ran it well, and then after that, they got it under control. To me, that's another big reason to go from thinking, "Hey, this is a house of horrors," to "Hey, there's a chance." Oklahoma State lost today.
Yeah,
I didn't really. Okay.
Yeah, but they covered.
Yeah,
They
okay.
covered. That was my favorite part. Did they put on the bottom line? Did they put Iowa State upsets number 8, Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State was a 7-point underdog?
That's correct. Yes,
By the way, Ohio State has good kids.
by taking care of business.
30-7.
They found it.
But
I think Tom got an extension last after the COVID year, right?
Who?
Tom Allen. He got a big
Oh,
extension.
yeah,
didn't he?
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Ton of
Yeah,
money.
good for him.
Yeah, that's why you strike when the iron's hot. But what I was saying was,
again.
I think the fact that this is 2 weeks in a row that defensively Ole Miss has made plays and has looked far more physical and better against the running game, and that's what you have to have against Auburn. Listen, I think next Saturday is going to be an absolute nail biter. I think it's going to be a really close football game.
Yeah, I mean, I just never know how that game goes. You can tell me that Ole Miss, like in the end, they're having to play a lot more zone coverage than I think they would have wanted to play. So if you tell me that they come out and Ole Miss is able to kind of scheme up some big plays, I can buy it. But I can also foresee a set of circumstances where this is by far, I think Auburn's more physical than Alabama is in terms of offensively. I think they're more physical. And you can tell me that, hey, they line up and they're able to run it pretty consistently against Ole Miss, and there's just, not much they can do. But at the same time, like, I think this is 2 straight weeks that I felt like, relatively speaking, the defense outplayed the offense. Now, part of that goes with the expectation so much higher for the offense, and the expectation's pretty low for the defense, so it is kind of relative. But I thought today, like in terms of like impressive moments, I thought the defense had more impressive moments to me.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and that's to me that's a really good sign. But to answer your question, a win over Auburn and the ceiling suddenly is 11-1 and finding a way into the playoff. That becomes the ceiling.
I mean, we talked about this 3 weeks ago when we said whose path would you rather have to the playoff. I actually think I'd rather have Ole Miss's path to the playoff than Alabama's path to the playoff, because Alabama's path includes beating Georgia.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, Alabama will have to win. A 2-loss Alabama team's not making the playoff.
Oh God, no.
So yeah, they'll have to beat Georgia. And frankly, the more I think about it, if your goal is to get to the playoff, you actually don't want Alabama to lose until then.
No, I completely.
But if
agree.
your goal is to win the West for the first time and get to Atlanta, you want to play. You want your shot at Georgia, I suppose.
Is Cincinnati going to get in?
Yeah, if they win, if they beat SMU.
I still don't know. I also think I'm not convinced. That offense has got a problem, man. Desmond Ridder, everyone wants to talk about he's a winner. Okay. Give me anyone else.
Oh, they'll get
Tanner
they get
Tanner
whipped
Mordecai
in a
is
playoff game.
Tanner Mordecai is better than Desmond Ridder. The problem is Tanner Mordecai doesn't get to play with that defense.
Can you imagine what Georgia will do to Cincinnati in a semifinal game that's a rematch of they kill them? Ugly.
Well, last year they didn't even care, and they had like 20 guys opt out, and they still I mean,
almost won.
Literally, Cincinnati needed 1 first down, and the game was over with. And they had 4 different opportunities to do it, and they couldn't do it.
They beat Navy today by 7 points. Navy's 1-6.
Navy had the ball, got the onside kick.
And, that Navy team last week showed up at the Liberty Bowl, and, Memphis ran something like – Memphis had the ball for 11 minutes and scored 35 points.
Hey,
I just don't think Cincinnati's that good.
Atlanta and L.A., they go to the bottom of the third. Braves still lead 1-0. Got out of the leadoff double. Dodgers had a leadoff double, but Braves pitched around it, so that game heads to the bottom of the third. Anything you're keeping your eye on tonight, or is it a pretty sloppy night of football?
Well, there's not even this is the last window. There's a Hawaii game, but it's like Hawaii, New Mexico State, and I just can't even bring myself to. I can't even bring myself. Guys, seriously, they need to take Indiana off the field. This is dangerous.
Indiana's really bad too, right?
He's literally going to get killed.
Yeah, Indiana's had a really bad year.
Yeah.
They lost a lot.
Has Indiana had a really bad year, or was maybe last year a little weird and they took advantage?
It was that. They had some opportunities. They took advantage of every one of them. And then,
right.
But yeah, that's come on. Hey, thanks for the time. We really appreciate it as always, bud.
All right, guys.
Later, Joe.
Bye. Okay. Thanks to all of our guests. That was Pete and
Jeffrey and
Brian and Jeffrey. So we'll open up phones. I got to find the thing. There we go. 662-259-0991 is the number. So for the people who say we don't do the hardcore football stuff, we're how far in are we? An hour and a half? We did football.
About an hour and a half.
We did football for an hour and a half. So when people say, when it gets crazy, that we didn't talk football, we did. Hey, who do we have?
Mark.
Hey, Mark.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Good game. I have to take issue, so I've been listening to a little bit of what all y'all been saying with Jeffrey, with Brian Scott, with Pete, with everybody, especially with Jeffrey. First probably, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes of the first quarter, that game looked like a mismatch, man. LSU ran the ball down our throat. We couldn't get anything going on offense. I thought our coaches did a heck of a job. I don't know if they did something different or if the players just played better. That game was, not only was that game in question, but LSU third and goal from the 1 yard line, up 7-0 with about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. That game looked like it was about to get out of hand the wrong way.
Well, defensively for sure. LSU ran down the field twice. They scored the first drive for sure. Ole Miss had to adapt and adjust off of that. I guess my only, not even really disagreement, my only thought as it was happening was that offensively, I thought it was more the penalties than anything Ole Miss was doing that wasn't working. Like, I felt like even then Ole Miss was establishing a few things that they were going to be fine if they could just stop shooting themselves in the foot. But I think they had 4 penalties in the first 3 series, and some stuff just started going, kind of haywire and unraveling. So from a defensive standpoint, I mean, that was impressive. That was the first note I wrote when I was in observations, was that stretch where they stop LSU 5 straight times, allow Ole Miss to go up 24-7 over the course of that time period. Because, yeah, I mean, it looked like LSU was running downhill. Johnson was just playing pitch and catch on those slants and stuff off the middle where they were kind of vacating the second level. And, Ole Miss kind of adjusted. Their linebackers played incredibly well after that, and they timed blitzes and pressure. They timed it well, and they actually got home better than they have at any time this season.
I don't think there's anybody listening to this show that doesn't believe that Kiffin and Levy and their combination is just really, really, really good at their jobs. I think this year, and especially today after that goal line stand, I thought Durkin flexed a little bit. Again, I don't know enough about football. Maybe y'all could ask Pete at some point. But it sure seemed like we changed some of the things that we were doing. Either that or the guys woke up, because that game completely changed after that goal line interception. And, the defense was dominant after that.
Yeah, I think the Springer's role has turned out to be absolutely huge, and Sam Williams is playing some of his best football, maybe his best football since he's been at Ole Miss. And
Gary Danielson says today, what are the odds that a Navy transfer on an Ole Miss defense in the SEC is the difference between being good or not good? And Kiffin alluded to it in press conferences when he was injured.
A Navy and a Maryland transfer are total game changers. Changers.
Well, you said that the wrong way. The Navy transfer, yes, but a good, solid Big Ten linebacker, that sounds a little bit better, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you got to give them
the former Pac-12 linebacker that transferred in here a few years ago didn't
disaster,
exactly pull that off. Ramon Miello.
What about the two-school FCS running back who is rolling around making plays at linebacker in the SEC?
It's the best story on the team. It is amazing. I mean, frankly, yes.
And how's that not being talked about more? I didn't even realize that until I was watching the Tennessee game last week, and they were talking about his past.
We just don't get that kind of access. We don't get that kind of time. We get him in a group setting. You don't. There's no way to have a sit down. I think it's one of the reasons that some of the people like the visit each week with Chance is that it's a chance to have a conversation not even an interview, but a conversation that's not passing a mic around. Like the way it works in there, you don't get to see it. We pass a mic around, and as soon as you ask your question, somebody else is asking for the mic. And if you hold on to it for a minute, people are like, hey, man, what's your deal? Are you being a prick? Or, it's like, no, I have a follow-up question. But if you ask a follow-up question, someone will come physically get the mic before you can ask a third question. So there's no way to ever go there steadily. And then you only get 5 minutes. I mean, there's just those types of stories don't get told.
There's one less of those now than there was about 2 weeks ago. Little less fighting now.
Well, yeah, but a lot of times those people never even stayed for and frankly, that publication's not present for those interviews. But it doesn't matter. It's still if there's 4 people and 4 different people are working on 4 different stories, and we don't even know who we're getting that day when we go in. And I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining to people that, like, where's the in-depth story on so-and-so? It's just hard to kind of put those together. But you're right. The Mark Robinson story is really good.
On your podcast explaining how the setup that they have currently creates kind of an absence of human relation stories. And you're right about that. And I honestly, I don't really understand why any school, Ole Miss, whomever, feels that way about it, because
they want to tell the story themselves.
Have a connection to the players. It creates an additional level of interest and synergy that, when you're looking to sell 1,000 extra tickets in 1 week, sometimes that might get help, right?
Well, and I appreciate the call. We're going to let you go in a second. But I'll answer the question for you, is that they think, and maybe they're right, they have their own internals. They think that they would rather tell their own story, and they save it for things like the season and stuff like that, and they don't, for whatever reason, they view – and this is not just Ole Miss, it's across the board. They view media as an enemy now, and maybe justifiably so in some cases. But, yeah, I think it stops you from getting to know certain players. I mean, I would –
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
for the time.
Everything you do. 31-17, a disappointing dominant win, but a dominant win nonetheless. Be good.
Thanks.
Take the disappointing dominant win over any other result that you could have today. I mean, I would have made a lot of money when LSU was going in 14-0 that Ole Miss would have a 10-point halftime lead. I just said that because it did not feel like that kind of turnaround was happening that quickly.
That's a good point. Hey, who do we have?
This is Rodney. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, Rodney, what's up?
Great day today. That defense really came through. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I was about to hyperventilate, but this is why Kiffin gets paid so much money he does. Our team on offense is not like it was against Arkansas. It's totally different. And he's adapting to the line and the receiver play, and still getting kind of manufactured something with our running game too. What do y'all think about that? I mean, it's just unbelievable how him and Levy getting this offense going, because we ain't got no line or receivers. I mean,
they maximize they maximize their weapons for sure.
It's what gives some hope for a year 3, where you look at the roster and there is a ton of attrition.
Yeah,
based off graduation, eligibility, but you go, hey, they just kind of make it work with whatever's out there. And I mean, frankly, defensively, they probably should still be okay.
I am so proud of our defense, Chance and Stringer, Williams. I hate to just call out a few, but all of them just playing hard and playing together. It's just night and day between last year. That was huge, that big stop there, that fourth down stop. And next week at Auburn, we're not going to win, fellas, unless we do one thing. We got to do one thing for sure. We can't keep making these penalties. Y'all agree?
Yes, penalties are absolutely a problem.
The dumb pre-snap penalties are destroying them, completely stopping drives right now.
Yeah.
But, Neal, I wanted to say I agree with you wholeheartedly on something you said this week.
Okay.
I think Ole Miss needs to retire Romero Miller's number.
Yeah, I do too. They're not going to.
Did you say that?
Yeah, I've said it for a long time.
I mean, I played against that fella in high school. I chased him for 3 years. I know how good he's unreal. And he was just a great player, and I think they need to do it because he had a great arm.
Where'd you play, Rodney?
Rippy.
So you were on the team that broke Amory's streak.
That's where I was going. Well, I didn't want to bring it up, but he needs to send us a. Because he got a.
Yeah, if you don't do that, Romero doesn't win the state title.
Big Kendall Samuels and them, Rico McDonald.
That's right. That's what I thought that might be what you were getting at when you said that. I was just wondering. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I totally agree with you, Neal. They need to do that. That'd be a good gesture.
Hey, Rodney, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Neal.
Uh-huh.
Chase.
Uh-huh. Yeah, back then in high school football, they only took 2 teams from each division to the playoffs, and Ripley, Shannon, and Amory all went 11-1 on the season. They beat each other. And by a point differential, Amory didn't get in. Ripley and Shannon got in.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Corey can call in and tell you more about it.
So the Braves have 2 on, 2 out. Is that what this is?
That is correct.
Okay.
They now have no 1 on and 3 outs.
Heading to the 4th.
1-0. And then we've got Alabama 21-14, just starting the second half. First snap. Got sniped.
Yeah, 2nd and 11 coming up. Who's the? I've never seen this Katie George. She doesn't look familiar.
No.
She been doing it all year?
I don't know. Is that an ESPN game?
Yeah. I'm sure she's been on there all year. I've never seen her before. Or if I did, I didn't pay attention. What am I stopping, JM? Hey, who do we have?
Oh, hey, this is Greg.
Hey, Greg.
So after watching today, do you think Matt Corral's going to be number 1 in Heisman consideration? Because a lot of college-based, like Pro Football Focus, keep putting Malik Willis and.
Well, that is crap.
Malik Willis will not win the Heisman.
Yeah. If he wins the Heisman, I'm the Queen of England. But
is Leif telling the truth in the stream?
The running back for Michigan State in. Like, I haven't seen anything of that guy, but for some reason he is their number 2.
Who?
I don't know his name. Robinson for Michigan State.
The running back.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh no. Well, Bijan Robinson is the running back at Texas. What's the kid at Michigan State's name?
I don't know.
Is it Walker?
That sounds right.
Okay.
Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, I think that is correct.
That's correct, yeah.
Kenneth Walker, Kenny Pickett. There's lots of dudes.
Pickett's got a better shot than Walker.
Well, because they don't play anybody either. Pickett can run this
Pickett
thing.
plays for Pitt. I'm sorry, but a Pitt QB should not ever win it over a Matt Corral. Matt is carrying the team. Not saying the guys on the team aren't doing their part, but he is the glue that holds the team together. Yeah,
for sure, but that won't. I don't know what a role that plays in voting. I don't. At some point, look, a lot of media are really lazy, and it's just going to be a numbers game. But here's the thing. We talked about this with the Heisman thing. You eventually, if you keep winning, you get to play in the big game. On the road, that kind of thing. Matt gets that opportunity Saturday.
Do you think that if they lose one more game, whoever that may be to, like in the regular season?
Well, I mean, it would matter who but it would matter who it was. Look, if I think he can win it at 10-2, but his numbers have to be just off the charts.
The game they lose, he has to literally throw for 400.
It has to be like, God, can you? I don't know how they lost. Matt Corral was awesome.
Otherwise, it has to be 11-1.
Yeah, and if they go 11-1, I think Matt is absolutely winning the Heisman Trophy. Because at 11-1, Ole Miss's ranking at that moment is going to be somewhere around 4 or 5.
Yeah.
There's going to be all sorts of playoff conversation. It's not going to be just a single thing. There's going to be a lot of and at that point, they would have beaten Auburn. They would have beaten A&M. And let's be real, for Ole Miss to win those games, Matt has to play well. So, And then they'd get the game against Mississippi State on Thanksgiving where a lot of college people are watching it because it's the only college game on. So, yeah, 11-1, he wins it. 10-2, he's got a hell of a shot. 9-3, he's not winning it. That's my opinion. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, it won't be the first time. It won't be the last.
Why are they more forgiving for Bryce Young when he has a...
He plays for Alabama.
Because he plays for Alabama, and they're ranked 4th in the country, and they're probably not going to lose another game. And Bryce Young's big moment, and the moment that he'll have a chance to win it or lose it, will be in the SEC title game against the best defense in the country. I mean, if he lights Georgia on fire, all of a sudden he's going to get a late run of votes, and if he doesn't, he won't. At the end of the day, it typically – I know Ole Miss people feel burned on it with the Jason White thing, and that's justified. But if Ole Miss beats LSU that day in 2003, Eli wins the Heisman. It's going to come down to games. Most of the media that wrote in that are beat writers. They don't see every game. They look at numbers.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know the answer to your question.
Yeah. She got the job when Allison Williams got let go by ESPN.
Oh, okay.
Allison Williams just landed a gig with one of the companies out of Nashville. Not Outkick. I can't think of it.
Okay.
She just got a gig. All right, phone lines are open. I got to keep remembering to put the phone line up. Daily Wire, yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
Really?
Laura pointed that out to me this morning.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know that I ever keep up with Daily Wire. It's like Candace Owens is on Daily Wire. But I don't ever really pay much attention to that.
Shapiro shows on Daily Wire.
That's right. Shapiro's the big name.
Dodgers 1 on, 1 out in the 4th. Ian Anderson on the hill for the Braves.
Hey, who do we have?
Hey, guys. Jarrett.
Hey, Jarrett.
How's this evening?
Good. How are you? What's up?
Not bad. The calls, I thought it would be a little more intense. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know everybody's in a good mood and everything.
A lot of people are out celebrating. It's a Saturday night at 8:12, and while I know we're entertaining, it's a home game. If it were a road game, it'd be a different deal.
It'd be wild for a road game.
Yeah.
Everybody's been kind of sitting on the couch having a beer or two and
for sure.
hanging out.
Yeah, I had people over at the house, and so I watched the game, but we had multiple kids and stuff running around. I just got done cleaning up and finally got to sit down. So, man, I was saying to a buddy of mine, like, I feel like this team just has it. Because, I mean, the beginning of the game, I was like, here we go. And I'm super happy to admit that I was wrong. I was like, we're about to get our teeth kicked in. Like, we're just going to get crushed. I mean, we looked totally inept on both sides of the ball. And then they just came alive and found a way to win with nobody. Eli, I didn't get to listen to the commentary much with the guests, but, man, Eli, somebody on the board, and Neal, I think you said it a few times this week, like, Eli really needed to step up, and, I mean, he had a great game. It just seems like they just, no matter what the injuries are or what bad a situation they're in, like, with the exception of Alabama, I mean, that's Alabama on the road, they've just found a way to get it done somehow.
The fact that they went 3-0 during this stretch to this point with so many injuries, and I know other teams are beaten up, and I know there's other excuses and different things, but that's a 3-0 stretch that typically doesn't – I mean, I haven't seen that a ton at Ole Miss. I mean, even – you look at the 14 team, they stayed incredibly healthy, for the majority of it early on. At 15, I know they got tons of stuff going on and different things, but for the most part, stayed pretty freaking healthy and then kind of folded a little once they didn't. I mean, the ability for this team to sub in, play some different guys, find ways to still score on offense without so many different playmakers. I mean, that's what I said. I looked up today, and Ramsey's at center, Amana's at guard, Caleb Warren's out after he tried to give it a go. I mean, that's some shuffling that typically would completely shut down things. Instead, you look up and they're up 31-7 at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination. One, I think Kiffin is the best offensive coach in the country. I think we could probably put that to bed. And then two, even though, numbers-wise, Corral didn't – I mean, he was, like Jeffrey was saying, I mean, he was good. But he wasn't. Numbers-wise, he didn't have an amazing game, but he's just got that it factor, and I think the rest of the team just kind of feeds off of him. Even the defense. It's just like, hey, we always feel like I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, yeah, LSU is this and that, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we're both pretty beat up, but we got number 2, and as long as we got number 2, I like our chances.
Well, that's very true.
Neal, I'm going to have to eat some crow. Air Force is getting spanked by San Diego State 20-0.
San Diego State's a good team. Yeah, Aztecs are a good team. They're solid.
Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot. We had a guy wide open on an 85-yard play-action pass, and the quarterback put it right on him, and he dropped it. 2 turnovers, and then our starting quarterback just left. This is an interesting thing, and most Ole Miss fans really won't care about this. Maybe they'll take it as a compliment, but people who follow SEC teams should really appreciate like the level of football knowledge that our fan base has, generally speaking. I know it doesn't seem that way a lot of times, but like, for instance, the Air Force message board is not particularly accurate or active, but there were multiple people on there during this game saying they need to bench the quarterback, and he's been playing really well. San Diego State's front seven is just, I mean, they're just owning us. But, people who don't really know football are like, oh, the offense isn't doing well, put the backup quarterback in. So hats off to our fan base because, they know a lot more football than other fan bases. I'll just say that.
Jarrett, thanks for the call.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Did you see I just saw somebody mention in the stream, I guess, and I was looking up the exact stat. But Deuce Vaughn, he has reached whatever the milestone is. It's like an all-purpose yards milestone, maybe even 2,000 yards or something, in the fastest in K-State history, including ahead of Darren Sproles and whoever the other name is. I'm escaping. That's their other big name, kind of scat back.
That's who he gets compared to is Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
A lot.
He had done it in 17, and the other two were like 18 and 19 games.
Robert, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, since it's a home game and you guys aren't getting the same crowd as usual, we appreciate it. Thanks for letting me drink and giving something to listen to. Keep it up. South Alabama's up 31-24 over ULM now, according to Matt.
So Rodriguez had a hard time making second half adjustments.
Imagine
after
that.
halftime.
Yeah,
it didn't go well.
Imagine that.
Okay.
I did just download all the.
It's also
the
worth noting here. I mean, while we were talking about with Jeffrey, and he's right, Indiana losing Kane was a hell of a loss for that coaching staff.
You want to hear from Lane?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I got to go in here, and I've got to build a takes a second. You guys have seen that happen. So hang tight. I'm going to create a Lane Kiffin. You'll see me for a minute. Then I go here, and I got to go into my downloads. And we'll get Lane here in a moment.
All right, so good win. I thought the crowd was awesome today. They were here early. The walk was, phenomenal energy. And, I thought the players fed off of it. And we didn't play great early, a little bit sloppy and kind of surprised to be up by 10 at half, the way we were. But really good into the half there, going down and getting a touchdown in 2 minutes. I think changed a lot and started, played a really good third quarter. So really pleased with our players, starting with the defense. I thought those guys, once we settled down early, played great. Held these guys to, whatever it was, 70 yards rushing, for a team that ran the ball so well. And last week against Florida, and, I just remind myself that's the same LSU team that beat Florida 7 days ago. So to not just win, but, kind of comfortably win there up 21 in the fourth quarter, when we started to slow it down is pretty neat. And, I don't think we've beat them in 5 or 6 years or something. So I hope our fans are pretty excited about that. So that puts us at 6-1. So we got a lot of work to do. We need to get players back healthy on offense. Matt himself is not healthy, as you can see, limping around out there, but, does not have his usual, group of weapons that he had early on. So, to have all those guys down, receivers, tight ends, and offensive linemen, and still, be able to beat LSU like that, is really neat. I think we'd all take that at the beginning of the year, saying that we were able to beat LSU by a couple touchdowns.
We'll start with Nick. Get the microphone to him.
Lane, we were in here a couple of weeks ago, and you talked about giving up 51 points to a team that was shut out the week before. Now you're giving up 17 to a team that scored 49 the week before. Just over these last 2 weeks, how have you seen this defense respond, and where is the growth coming from in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we got to remind ourselves of things like that. Just a few, weeks ago sitting here and, really not stopping Arkansas hardly at all until the 2-point play. I think Jake Springer has a lot to do with it, not just as a great player, but feeding off of him like the play he made at Tennessee. I think, he's kind of like Matt on offense. The players feed off of him, so that certainly helps. And, we're playing better. And when you play a slow down offense like that, your guys can do a better job with pass rush like you saw today than having to play, 80, 90 snaps versus tempo. So I'm sure they were happy they went from two of the fastest offense. They see one of the fastest offenses in the country every day. Then the last 2 weeks playing, two of the 3 fastest offenses in the country. So they're probably pretty happy to see someone normal.
You talked a lot all week about wanting to see this place full. Was it what you imagined? Was this the atmosphere you envisioned when you took over here?
Yeah, it was cool. I don't see it the whole game, obviously, but, I glanced up, before kickoff and, it was full and, seemed like they were, there was a presence on third down. And so it was awesome to see. And, that's how it should be. And, the game was kind of a little bit dead at some points there, just slow moving and stuff. So, but I thought the fans were really good today. And we actually punted on a 4th down too. So I think I heard some boos actually. Now they don't like that. I didn't know what to do. Like, it was like, hey, wait, the book actually said don't punt. And I'm like, but they only have 7 points. We're stopping them. So I went against it and punted them deep, and our defense got us the ball back 3 and out. So went against analytics, and it worked.
You mentioned that Matt was beat up, but he's still running the ball. He caught a pass. How would you kind of rate his performance?
He missed a few throws early, as you probably noticed. When you can't push off, that's kind of hard to play quarterback. And you could see he couldn't move the same, and your rhythm's off because he didn't take all the reps like you normally would all week. And again, if his starting group that I said at the beginning of the year, we're going to be the best 3 receiver group in the country, if they stayed healthy, and they haven't, so he's down to 1 out there. So, the guy's a warrior. Guy's awesome, selfishly for him. Well, I mean, it's not really selfishly. I wish we had all the pieces around him, because now you're going to get, Heisman, that he didn't have the numbers and all that stuff. And, you got to watch the game. I don't get to sit back there and just wait forever and throw to wide open people. So, I mean, he's awesome, and I don't know where he'd be without him. And another note on him, I mean, he threw for 180 or something like that. And I kind of said afterwards, man, sorry we didn't do a better job getting guys open. He didn't care. He didn't care less about his stats. That is rare at any time, but especially this age with kids.
How big was that stop when the goal line stand on the 4th down? Because, I mean, if they score there, then it's 2-possession game and things are changed. But then from that moment on, I mean, you guys dominated from that moment on. What changed after that stop, and how big was it?
Yeah, it was not a good. This game did not start good. It did not feel good. It didn't feel good offensively. Matt was a little bit off. We were struggling with the rush. It didn't feel good defensively. They were running and mixing the passes in, and Johnson was playing really good. So that stopped. And we had said all week, okay, they're going to come with good energy. They just came off the Florida win and everything. If we could get a lead, maybe the game would go like the Kentucky game went. And so I do think, it went that way in the third quarter once we got the lead. So that was a big stop, huge momentum. And, we were backed up there and Snoop ran us out, a couple runs, which was really good.
And those 17 points that you gave up, that was the fewest tied with the Austin Peay game. But, against an SEC team like that, do you think this is the best that y'all have looked on defense all season long? And do you think you can kind of build on what the defense was able to do today?
I mean, it's fun to be the head coach, when your defense is playing good. You can slow things down. You can play. You don't have that feeling like you got to score all the time like we've had at times here. But I thought our defense started this way in the Louisville game, shut out at half. And so, I think we're back to that. And like I said, I think Springer makes a big difference. And when we can get off the field on third down, like 4 or 12 today, now we don't get worn down because we don't have great depth. And so when we can stay fresh and let our two defensive ends rush, we're pretty good.
Lane, going back to last season, y'all are now 10-2 in your last 12 games. What do you attribute the ascent of this program to?
Yeah, I did not know that stat. That sounds good, though. 10-2. That's my agent over there. You can take over for him. I attribute that to guys, playing well. Attribute that to having Matt Corral. Because let's make no mistake, that guy, that record is not 10-2 without him. That's for sure. So, and I just think, I'm not sitting here to say buy into what we do. I just think they bought into each other. And, they play really well. And like we told them, they find a way to win. The stars seem to change every week. You're not sure who they're going to be, in each game, which is a little bit different. Sometimes, like last year, it's going to be Matt and Elijah, and so this is more people stepping up from different spots, which is great to see.
Was it just a matter of time for Jarian? Were you just kind of waiting out the injury for him to have the big game today, or was there something schematically that you saw that kind of allowed him to succeed?
Well, I think he opened his stride up. I think he had not been doing that. He'd been stopping his feet, and talked to him this week. Hey, you're a speed back, and you're not playing like it. You're not really letting it loose. And we set it right on that run. I mean, the headset, Labby, Kevin Smith, myself, that's what it's supposed to look like. When you got a speed back, it's supposed to look like that. There's the hole, and he's gone. So, that's what we were hoping would happen, and he seems to be back. And it's at the right time because, without these receivers, these guys had to step up. And that is to cover one every snap today. So that means there's another guy in the box. So they ran really well against another guy in the box.
Take questions up top. Coach, obviously, Eli Manning Day. What was it like to see, a player like that come through the program, get recognized like that on a game like today where you guys were able to win as well?
It was awesome to have him on the walk. And, I joked with him. I wore his jersey for the walk. I was like super fan. I felt like I was going to a Giants game, like on the bus going to the game. So, it's awesome. I've been around him, but not that much. And just to be around him today and see how humble he is, called him this week to ask him about what jerseys, would you like to pick our jerseys? And he's like, no, man, let the players, I want whatever the players want. So again, like Matt Corral in a different way, that's rare, a great player like that, to be that humble and, just wanting to help others and stuff is awesome to see. So really cool day for him, and the end zones were awesome. And, we just love the Mannings.
Coach, going into the game with Matt kind of banged up, did you talk to the running back room and be like, it's going to be on your guys' shoulder this week, and how would you evaluate the performance today?
Not exactly. We didn't, but we said, hey, you never know. The stars change every week. You don't know, especially in college football, but the SEC. You see teams lose that aren't supposed to lose. You see games that you think even as a head coach are going to be high scoring, they're low scoring, or vice versa. So you just never know. We tell them all the time, you never know who's going to need to step up and where it's going to come from. And so today you had, hey, we were a little off in the passing game, down receivers. Matt couldn't move very well, so you weren't going to get anything in the running game out of him. So they were going to need to step up, and they did.
Lane, does it feel like something has clicked with this team over the last 2 weeks where it feels like more complete performances? It's not just, trying to outscore the other team?
Yeah. I think sometimes when you have moments in a season where games, let's make no mistakes, the last 2 games before this could have went either way. They're one play at the end of the game away from us losing. So when those go that way, sometimes that just kind of springboards you into having some confidence as players. Like, hey, man, we're pretty good. So we tell them all week, hey, good's the enemy of great, and that's where we are. Like, we're good, but then we don't close people out at the end of the games. We're not great. And, we weren't great today either, and told them that. So the good thing is we're close. And if we could get healthy and play the way we know how to play, we could be a really special team. I just hope we get healthy before there are any games left.
That's Lane Kiffin. Yeah, your screen is foggy.
Is it worse now?
Yeah, because you were using your thumb, which has natural oils on it, and so that made it worse.
Do you have a little thing?
I can probably get a cloth. We'll have it cleaned before Monday.
I was trying to do good, but
yeah.
it did not.
You're in the fog over there. It's some interesting things. I mean, by the way, I'm hearing Ben Brown's injury is likely season ending.
Really?
Yeah. It's a bicep injury. Let's see. I thought it was interesting. He's talked about Jerry and Eli. Said, hey, go fast. Quit.
Just play.
Just go play. You're a speed back. Be a speed back.
Sure. It's a little Manning dig in there at one point.
So we love the Mannings. All the Mannings.
All the Mannings.
All the Mannings.
Yeah. Cooper, Ellen, Abby, Eli,
yeah,
Archie, Olivia.
Yeah.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yep.
Whatever the names of Eli's 3 daughters are. Peyton, of course.
Of course. That might be the one he needs to work on. Needs to get that one fixed.
You think so?
A little bit.
Think it wouldn't hurt?
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Avery wants the Score from Far hoodie.
It is a good-looking hoodie.
Yeah, it is a good-looking hoodie. I actually liked the Manning 10 little hoodie thing. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Alabama's 24-17 over Tennessee. That game starting to get late in the third. For those who are just driving or something and don't know, Dodgers and Braves tied at 1 in the bottom of the fourth in Atlanta.
LA tied it up the last half inning. Then the Braves got out of a little jam there. Dodgers have. I assume Scherzer waiting in the wings for a Game 7.
I mean, if he's healthy, yeah.
Oh, right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought Umana played well at guard. Someone mentions that. I thought he
he was fine there. No, he was okay.
Yeah, I thought he played well when he moved over from center. Got to give Ramsey some credit because Ramsey handled the center stuff. His snaps were good.
Frankly, the bad snaps were kind of on Corral. He wasn't necessarily paying attention during them.
Yeah, it was one snap that was a little high, and then the one snap that Matt fumbled, you could see on the TV he had looked left.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Breaking Peyton news. Peyton Manning holds grudges. He does. There's definitely a grudge there.
There's the possible, yeah.
So do you get nervous when the Braves are this close to the World Series here in a game?
I have literally no...
You don't feel anything?
Nothing. No, I mean, I want them to win, and I will know it, and if they lose, I'll be frustrated by back-to-back 3-1 losses for a lot of my friends who are really diehard Braves fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll feel it a little myself and be a little annoyed, but no, I mean, it doesn't even stratosphere what it would be for Saints or something along those lines at all. I mean, there's just not much there. I mean, I keep up with nothing as far as like winter meetings. I keep up with nothing minor league at all. There's not a huge investment there.
Hey, who do we have?
Hey guys, it's Vibe and Reb.
What's up, Vibin?
I just walked about 2 miles from the Grove to Anderson Road. I've got 5 coon asses in tow with me. They're all miserable, and I'm sulking in the. I'm on cloud 9 right now. I'm feeling great.
Yeah, a lot of Ole Miss fans seem to be kind of wasn't whatever. I'm like, gosh, you won the game.
I mean,
you don't get
think
bonus
about that
points.
in 2019.
Like that right now.
In 2019, they said, "Hey, in 21, Ole Miss is going to beat LSU 31-17 in front of a sold-out stadium, and you're going to be number 10 in the country probably on Sunday." And people are disappointed in that.
I mean, if you had told me that day, I'd have said, "You are." I don't know what it is, what drugs you're taking, but that cannot be good for you, Chase. That's what I would have said.
There is some disappointment that it's not 38-10, Ivan.
Well, that's. I mean, look, man. What was the score going in fourth quarter? Were they up by like 24 points?
It was 31-7 at one point.
Ooh. They held.
I mean, that's
up
an ass
right
kicking. That's an ass kicking. But
how was the stadium today? Tell me, give me some color. What was the crowd, the atmosphere? What was it like?
Man, it was great. Like, I mean, it was a packed house. Everyone was losing their minds. It was great. I mean, honestly, I got there, I think about 30 minutes before kickoff, and I didn't think it was going to be. It filled up really fast in that 20-minute span between 20 minutes to kickoff, and then, I mean, people were cheering, people were loud. Everyone in the crowd was screaming why they weren't giving the ball to Snoop more after the first quarter. I mean, he's the best run back on the team. I'm sorry, he just is. Whenever he gets the ball, he produces. I mean, he's argue against.
No, he's been very good. I think he's the best every down back. I do think Parrish is a better pass protector. I think Parrish is a better receiver. And Eli is really explosive. Look, if they're not going to be super healthy at wide receiver,
they need
all three of them.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
And I just,
and especially if Ron's got a. I mean, if Matt's got a beat up ankle and is going to be limited in his running, you're going to have all three backs contribute.
Whenever I saw Miles battle out there on offense, I said, "Shit." Pardon my French, but I mean, Drummond did a really good job today, even though they bracketed him.
Yeah, he turned 9 targets into 8 catches today, and gave him that over the middle threat that he'd been at the start of the year. I thought he played incredibly well.
And I'll tell you the thing that really I took home, and I was like, man, look, I don't think they're going to beat Auburn next week. I just don't. You told me they'd beat Auburn, I'd be very surprised. But the defense kind of gave up a lot of yards those first 2 drives. But after they got that goal line stand, they didn't really give them anything else after when the game was still competitive. LSU only had like 70 yards rushing going into the third quarter. I mean, they're getting better. I think Jacob Springer's the best player on defense, hands down. But
he's by far the best catalyst.
We're about to run to the square. Appreciate y'all taking my call.
Thank you.
All right.
I bet the square's a little crazy tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's an easy sign that I'm old. I go now.
It's like I get that. Like, you going to the square? I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, somebody asked me on Thursday, was like, yeah, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, they can have it. Get it back on Monday.
Yeah.
Because I tell you the underrated one is like, can you imagine how the wait times are going to be? Because we have so few in this town breakfast places in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
With all these folks here. Like, they own the Sunday morning thing. Like, you're out.
Yeah.
Tennessee, I give them credit for hanging in there.
No, they're playing fairly well. 24-17 Alabama.
And Alabama's playing like crap.
Yeah, Saban's not been happy tonight. He's been jumping them, upset.
No, LSU only sold about 3,000 tickets. They returned 4,000 seats. It's very possible because it was the 6th largest crowd and it was 64,000. But because of the visitors and the increased stadium capacity, it was probably the most Ole Miss people that have ever bought tickets for a football game in Oxford today. Because typically the biggest crowds have been really large visitor turnouts.
Right. Real Gear Online, thanks for the super chat. He says, Parrish got a reception of what I thought would be the Eli roll. When will we see more of that? It's the only negative to the tempo is that whatever running back you start with, that's he's got to go. Yeah. But I would think some. I would think some. I would think that he might be better. You know, we talked about Eli the whole preseason running that, but to Jerrian's credit, he was the one that always said, "Hey, just so you know, Henry's doing it too."
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we start seeing more of that now.
I mean, they got to do something out there. Because, I mean, frankly, Jaden Jackson hasn't produced.
No, gave him a catch tonight, but yeah. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, is this Chase and Neal?
It is. Who's this?
Man, this is Marty. We are in the Wendy's fast food line over here in Pontotoc, just leaving the game. I want to get y'all's thoughts on next week.
It feels more winnable today than it did about 8 hours ago. I think that's for sure.
Absolutely right. Y'all going down there? Either of y'all going down there?
We will be sitting right here as we always do because we have to be in the studio as soon as the game ends. Otherwise, we can't do the show.
Oh, wow. Rosario hits a 3-run homer for Atlanta with.
He has been a stud.
4-1 Braves, bottom fourth.
What did you think of the game?
Man, that was amazing. It's crazy. Like y'all said, I mean, Matt Corral was on a stretcher earlier this week, and lo and behold, he is playing the game out. It's the craziest thing ever, ain't it?
I figured he would play. I never bought any of the he wasn't going to play thing because we kept getting all sorts of Instagram messages and Twitter messages, and if anybody knew my number, they texted me to tell me, "Hey, I saw Matt Corral here, I saw Matt Corral there," and he was always walking. So there was no chance in my mind that Matt wasn't going to play. Now I do think I don't think he got some of the reps that he would normally get, and he wasn't as sharp and fresh as he would normally be. But
of course,
yeah.
I think they dialed it back.
Where are you headed? How far you got to go?
Go home we live over in Tupelo.
Oh, okay. So not bad.
Oh, that's not bad. What was your Wendy's order?
Yeah. We hadn't got to the order yet, but we order a bunch of cheeseburgers.
Is it slammed?
Huh?
Is it slammed? Is it busy with people coming through there?
Yes, we're the fourth car back. And there's about 4 cars behind us right this moment.
Oh, it's hopping.
Yeah, that's place packed.
All right.
All right. Well, enjoy your drive back. Thanks for calling. Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate all the people watching on YouTube as they are driving and leaving the game. That helps. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a moment right there now.
Oh, it's a big moment right there. All of that happened with nobody on and 2 outs. Alabama driving, by the way, up 7. Bryce Young just hit whoever number 11 is for Alabama. Is that Mechie? So I didn't know
Elijah Drinkwitz was doing play-by-play tonight.
He does look a lot like Drinkwitz, doesn't he?
All we're missing is the pocket protector. Well, they are off today.
Yeah. He might want to get started in media because the coaching thing's not working great.
You think it's going to be a long timer at Mizzou?
No. Avery says both Batesville exits to the interstate were closed.
Why?
I don't know. I have no idea. That's crazy.
Alabama can kind of put this thing to bed.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to win, barring some turnover, freaky kind of play.
Did I pick Tennessee to cover?
I think we all picked Alabama to cover. The line's huge. Hey, who do we have?
Say what now?
Who do we have?
Yeah, it's D-Reb from Water Valley.
Hey, D-Reb.
How's it going?
Good.
Lovely.
having a few drinks, enjoying myself.
What are you drinking?
Enjoying a big win. Jaeger and Red Bull. This is the go-to. It works.
Together?
Why?
Together, yes. The Holy Trinity.
What else is with it?
Yeah, you said that's the holy duo. See,
Unless you just mean ice.
It's like you go in the liquor store, like, I'm going to try something new, and then you walk out with the same fucking thing.
That's like that's like when you go through the soft drink like thing and you just do the suicide. You just hit like a little of all of it. Like if it turns out good, that was by mistake.
No, stick with what works.
Well, it'll work. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna feel tomorrow, but
that is.
Does it taste more like Jaeger or more like Red Bull? What's the dominant? What's the dominant?
I'm still working with it.
I mean, if you're just trying to get trashed, I mean, just stick yourself with an IV and pour bourbon into it or something. But Jaeger and Red Bull?
We're probably like 12 years going in on this thing, and it's just what works.
What percentages of each? Like it's kind of like an Arnold Palmer. It's a whole different drink when there's more iced tea versus lemonade.
Like anything else, and as an evening wears forward.
No, I'm saying how much of each though. Like, are you using more Red Bull?
You know, Red Bull is a light colored drink.
Okay.
And Jägermeister is a very dark colored drink.
It is. Yeah, that's correct.
So if at the end of the night, you would think I'm drinking whiskey and Coke.
Okay.
Which would beg the question: why not just drink whiskey and Coke?
But you got to work with what the old lady likes. So
she chose Red Bull and Jaeger.
I
don't know. I mean,
it was her drink when we met each other.
Really?
I'll need a picture.
Yes, it was her drink. I was a whiskey and Coke guy. She's the one that got me on the Jaeger and Red Bull.
Okay, why can't she have Jaeger and Red Bull and you stick with the whiskey and Coke? I mean,
because I get a bottle with a handle on it.
They make those.
Yeah, I know, but you don't want to get two bottles with two handles on it because you stepped over the edge at that point.
Well, you're not required to drink the entire bottle. I mean, you could save it for next week.
I'm an all-you-can-eat buffet type of guy.
So once you start, you don't stop until like it gets into a bad level.
Yes,
Okay.
I eat to get full. I drink to get drunk.
Okay.
So on and so forth.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for stopping there.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
But on Auburn, worried
Okay.
about that.
All right.
Stressful situation there. Big game. You know, like we've won a couple big ones. The atmosphere was great tonight. It was like a coming out, well-deserved. It's been a rough couple of years. And it was just nice to just kind of sit back and enjoy a good football game where you just didn't have to die the entire time.
Well, I mean, there was some people in the stream still trying to die at 31-17 going, hey, what if they do this and do this and do this?
Y'all, it's the first quarter. This is SEC football. We know it takes 4 quarters. I knew at one point LSU was going to roll over and die. They were right before. We made a couple of defensive stops, and they were dead. They were dead in the water. They gave up on Koto.
Now, that is true.
Yeah, Well, I think their season's. Going
done.
It's
Stick
done.
a fork in them.
Yeah, they get a week off. He'll have a hard time getting them back for Alabama, and then they'll play a motivated Arkansas team, and A&M will kill them at the end.
I don't know. I think Arkansas is going to give them hell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Arkansas will be motivated for them.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
It's got ice in it. I can hear it there at the end.
I heard it at the end.
How much would you have to? You have to go mostly Red Bull and just a little Jaeger, right?
I hate Jaeger. I don't understand the allure of Jaeger at all.
Like the shots?
Yeah, I mean, I drink to get drunk. Okay, well, fair enough, but then drink whiskey. I mean, that at least Jaeger to me has no redeeming value at all. None.
You really don't like the taste at all?
No, no. I mean, if I want cough syrup, I'll go get cough syrup. That's what it tastes like.
I mean, we've never tried it in Red Bull.
No.
There is that.
I suppose. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, this is Joshua and Van Buren.
Hey, Joshua.
Hey, so can we talk a little Arch Manning maybe?
Sure.
Okay, well, I had been putting a lot of thought into it this week, just thinking about Ole Miss's situation with him. And I think after watching today, Ole Miss has done pretty much everything that they could do. They're not running the Rich Rodriguez offense. They're not on probation, which is why Peyton went to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And they put on one heck of a show for his family. And I guess I get it. If a kid doesn't want that much pressure, he was never going to come to Ole Miss anyway. It'd be kind of like if, everybody knows Corey, and everybody knows he's got a son who plays baseball for the Amory Astros. But if he wanted to go into the car business, he could just go work for his dad. But if he didn't want to go to the car business, he wouldn't, or if he didn't want to work for his dad, he wouldn't open up a car lot right across the street from him. He would have to, move away to another town to kind of do that if he was, thought it would be too much pressure to work for his dad. Or he could decide that he wanted to do something completely else. And Arch is such a good athlete, he could have chose baseball, because I guarantee you at the age of 8, he realized what it meant when he went out to play flag football. Everybody was kind of looking at him different just because of his last name. So he knows what the family business is, and he chose to do that anyway. And if it means that much to him, he'll probably come to Ole Miss. But, if not, then Ole Miss has pretty much done everything it can do, and it's not Ole Miss's fault if he goes somewhere else.
No, it's not Ole Miss's fault if he goes somewhere else. If he goes somewhere else, it's because he chose to go somewhere else. I mean, it's simple as that. It's not – Ole Miss has positioned itself quite well. Are they calling that a touchdown? Because he absolutely fumbled the ball.
They're looking at it now.
He fumbled the ball.
He did. What do you think the call's going to be?
I don't want to become this conspiracy guy, but he fumbled the ball. But yeah, if Ole Miss is, you just keep working. They've shown him they can win. They've shown him they can create great environments. God knows they've shown him that they love their family. If he doesn't go, it's because he just decided he wanted to go somewhere else, which is, at the end of the day, nothing you can really do about it other than to respect that decision.
I 100% agree. I think, as long as 18 months ago, people were worried that Ole Miss was going to somehow screw this up. And I think that they've shown that they've done 100% everything the right way to get him over that, time period since Matt Luke was fired.
Who recovered the ball?
And it's not going to be anybody's fault.
Yeah, no, it won't be anybody's fault. It absolutely won't. They've Kiffin's done a great job with him. Jeff Lebby's done a great job with him. All those things. At the end of the day, and a lot of times people forget this, it will be the kid's decision. I doubt if Cooper or Ellen or anyone else looks at him and goes, "Hey, here's the deal, bud. You're going to X." He's gonna go where he wants to go. It's gonna be his call. And as Chase and I wrote, we wrote like 3,000 words on Friday, and probably 1,500 to 2,000 were about Arch. He's going to take some visits in the spring when the emotion of the season is not at the forefront, and he'll. I think he's going to look at about 3 or 4 schools in the spring, and I have absolutely zero doubt Ole Miss will be one of those 3 or 4. Called it confirmed.
No, I read everything that you guys wrote about it. I thought it was really good. I thought everything you guys said was, sounded really good for Ole Miss. And I know how people can get. And,
yeah, no, they're in it.
I got worried about it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
They're in it, but Texas is in it. Georgia's in it. I think to a lesser degree, Clemson and Alabama are in it. Did he recover the ball?
He did fall on the ball, it appeared.
Okay. Then why are they even doing this?
I don't.
Because if he fumbled the ball and recovered it, it's a touchdown anyway, and there's nothing to review. But if he didn't recover the ball, then that's a fumble. Yeah, that's what Heupel just said.
Yeah, but they said confirmed, meaning he crossed the plane with it. They ruled that it was a touchdown on the run.
How? Yeah. This would be the time to throw the trash.
Except they're in Tuscaloosa.
They are, but they're right there. They could throw it. They could disrupt the.
A&M is up 41-0 on South Carolina.
South Carolina needed every minute of the game to beat Vanderbilt. And A&M's good. Grind is saying they confirmed that he fell on the ball in the end zone. I guess if you don't have a clear replay that shows that somebody else recovered it. I don't know. Let's see. I need to put the phone back up. It's an odd vibe tonight. I don't know if it's because everybody's kind of nervous about next week or everybody's exhaling from the big week or what it is.
It's a little tired.
Yeah.
It's been a day.
It's been a day. It's been a full day. Been a full week. (31-17) Alabama over Tennessee. That game early fourth.
Yeah, that's over.
All the SEC slate's done, right?
It is.
14:51 to go there. Any national games of note today? I'll pull it up and see.
No, I mean, the last game even going on is Notre Dame SC.
In case you spent the day in the Grove and you're wondering, San Diego State. Well, actually, that was in the fourth. San Diego State leads Air Force 20-14.
Oh.
Texas San Antonio, which is somehow ranked, leads Louisiana Tech 42-16. Ohio State leads Indiana 44-7. Notre Dame leads Southern Cal 24-3. We talked about Texas A&M. Miami hanging on to a 21-17 lead over NC State. That game early in the third. Dave Doran and the boys making a comeback. Earlier in the day, Cincinnati beat Navy 27-20. Oklahoma beat Kansas 35-23. Michigan rolled over Northwestern. The Wolverines now 7-0. I hate when ESPN does the automatic refresh, which I guess is a good thing. But 33-7. Oh, wow, to the house.
Is that Peyton again? No, Cedric Tillman.
Illinois beat Penn State 20-18 in 9 overtimes. So Penn State now has 2 losses. That's the end of their title hopes. It's a hell of a way to lose all your title hopes. Iowa State beats Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State loses for the first time 24-21. Iowa State now 5-2, 3-1 in the Big 12. Oregon beats UCLA 34-31 in Pasadena. The Ducks now 6-1, 3-1 in the Pac-12. You know about the Ole Miss score. Wake Forest beats Army 70-56. Pitt beat Clemson 27-17. That game at Pittsburgh today, Clemson led early, and then Pitt dominated from there. And then the final top 25 game of the day, Wisconsin, as I think we suspected that they might. Wisconsin pounded Purdue 30-13 in West Lafayette. Wisconsin now 4-3, 2-2 in the Big Ten. Purdue has matching number.
Wisconsin has a chance to actually win their division after all that today.
Yeah.
The other side of the Big Ten.
Hey, who do we have?
34-31 in Pasadena.
Hey, turn it down. Who do we have?
Hey, Neal, it's Josh in LA.
Hey, Josh, what's up, man?
Hey, you know that Office episode where where Michael and the gang are passing around the thing, and they're talking about, it's the grief counseling episode, and they're talking about like the difficult times in their lives, and they pass the thing to Kevin, and Kevin is talking about the weekend at Bernie's, and he screws it up, and Michael starts laughing his ass off. Like, that's the way I feel about the press conference where Neal where Lane screwed it up, you know, when talking about Matt's injury.
What do you mean?
Like when
You mean on Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Monday when they asked the question and Matt was like, or Lane was talking about
How much have you smoked? How much have you smoked today?
No. Okay. No, never mind. No. Okay. Hold on. When
Totally.
No. I'm not. Shoot, I can't. Okay. So I promise.
No, good.
Okay, let me get to it. No.
We're not judging.
I'm having stage fright. I love you guys. I listen every day. I'm having stage fright. Okay. You know when they're in the conference room and Michael, it's the grief counseling episode when Michael is passing around the little ball and they pass the ball to Kevin. And Kevin tells the story of, well, I was having this good weekend, the weekend at Bernie's. So when they asked the question in the press conference about, like, Matt, like, about his injury, and, like, Lane was trying to tell the story about, like, you know, Matt's injured, I'm not sure he's going to play again, or about this week. I feel like that's kind of the thing that he was trying to, you know, get up, like, you know, Matt being injured, but anyway, I butchered it, but that's all. No, I haven't. That's all. I butchered it, but
I thought that was actually more on Friday because he had a hard time keeping a straight face when Feinbaum asked him what was going on with Corral, and he gives the whole spiel about, you know, we're just hopeful he can play like all of our players, and you could see that he had like the edges turning up, and he was having a bit of a hard time keeping a straight face right there.
yeah. No.
Hey, thanks for the call, Josh. Yeah.
It's only 7 o'clock out there.
It's true. Either a long night or a very short one. Had a couple super chats to catch up on. Thanks to Cross Caldwell. Really appreciate that. Also to DSH. Appreciate both of you guys very much. ULM's up. Is that right? ULM's taking the lead on South Alabama.
Oh, really?
That's what someone tells me. See if I can find that. That'd be a big win for I can't get it on this. The way this screen does, I can't get it.
Nick's mad about something.
Nick's been mad a lot tonight.
Has he?
Yeah. He's had a rough night. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, boys. How y'all doing?
Hey, Bubba. What's up?
Oof, meth is a hell of a drug, ain't it, boys?
You think that's what it was?
Just being, wow.
I think he was.
I lost brain cells listening to that.
I think he was just nervous. I mean, we're really intimidating,
Yeah.
Bubba. I mean, you know, a lot of people they freak out when they start talking to us.
No, I'm drunk and I'm not that intimidated. But anyway, I just wanted to get your boys' thoughts on how this looked for recruits and see how it was. I just got back from the game and I'm plowed, to be honest with you. So
I hope Mary drove
That's a good
home.
thing to be.
Who drove, Bubba?
Who drove?
Yeah, who drove?
I got my brother-in-law. Excuse me, not my son-in-law with me up here. He didn't want to go to the Tennessee game. He wanted to go to the LSU game today.
Oh.
So
Anyway. Hey, real quick, have you heard from Daddy? Because the Vols are giving Alabama all they want.
Yeah, he said we're gonna beat them today. He was confident, but I don't think so. It's just too much. But they look good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just turned it on. I was kind of surprised. I thought they'd be ahead by like 3-4 touchdowns. But it's all good. But how do you think this looked for recruiting for us?
They put the absolute best foot forward they
Yeah.
could possibly put in all ways. I mean, you're retiring the number of a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. You've got a ton of people in town. You got former players who love the program in town.
Yep.
I mean, that doesn't hurt either. And you
That
got a packed
helps.
stadium and a win. I mean, it's
and you still get to walk into the room afterwards when you talk to some of those guys and go,
We need
we
you."
need help. We're nowhere close to where we're trying to get.
We won, but what if we had you?
Yeah. It's how do you blow that coverage on 3rd and long like that? But no, it's from
Yeah, I
a
was
from
about
a
to
recruiting
say something, but
from a recruiting standpoint, it was like ideal, perfect, about as good as of a day as you can have. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have 18 kids commit on Monday, and if they don't, that it went badly. It's not how it works. But yeah, no, you made a great impression, and frankly, probably with the 2023 and 2024 kids that are there, that's where you really made an impression because now they're wanting to come back.
Yep. All right, boys. Well,
All right, Bubba.
I'm getting dragged to church tomorrow, so I'm gonna actually hit the hay
Okay.
after this game. But hopefully, Daddy's not jumping up and down off the roof. But I'll talk to you guys later and just let you know, Chase. I think I'm gonna be getting. I've been told I'm gonna get another dog. So
Another one already?
Mary wants. She's.
What's this one going to be named?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
So, but I'll definitely let y'all know. You
All right.
think of a good name for me,
We'll-
and I'll
We'll
workshop
Neal.
We'll workshop it right here tonight. Thanks, Bubba.
All right, y'all. Good evening.
You too.
Bye.
Hey, who do we have?
Hi, this is Whitney from Memphis.
Hey, Whitney. Not Whitney from Iuka, but from Memphis.
No, I'm from Memphis.
Okay. What's up?
Okay, so I'm really nervous because I'm afraid y'all are going to make fun of me. But my husband and I have been going back and forth all night in regard to the whole Heisman Trophy conversation that y'all had around Matt Corral. So here's my question for you. Do you think it's better for a player to just be in the hunt, be in the talk, and not win, or actually win? Because when you look over the last couple of years, last 10, 15 years, the players that have won it, you don't really hear anything about, but the players that were in the hunt are the ones that do something.
Like in the NFL?
Yes, yes, exactly, in the NFL. I mean, and additionally, when you think about it, the Heisman Trophy contest is before all the bowl games, and then that kind of is almost a kiss of death. You're going to lose your bowl game because you won the Heisman. So it should, in theory, be after all the bowl games. But, I mean, really, like, think about it. Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, the cute guy in Washington, what's his name, Russell Wilson. I mean, they didn't win the Heisman, but they're doing something.
Okay, well, let's talk about the last. Hold on, let's do this. We'll go through the last several Heisman winners. Okay,
don't make a fool out of me.
No, I'm not. No, Whitney. Listen, after Josh in L.A., you're safe.
Well, that's what got me the nerve to call in because he was an idiot.
So Devonta Smith won it last year for Alabama, and his NFL career is going pretty well so far, and they won the national championship.
But it's his first year.
But they did not lose their bowl game. They won all their games.
Well, Alabama's never going to lose a bowl game, so that doesn't count.
All right. Joe Burrow won in 2019. They won all of their bowl games, and Joe Burrow is having
Who? Okay, you got me there.
Kyler Murray won in 2018. He's right now the leading candidate to be the NFL MVP.
He did get the hell beat out of him in his bowl game.
He did get beat in his bowl game. So there's a point for
Right.
you.
I mean, but think about it, like Vince Young. I mean, what was the guy? I mean, when you really kind of think about it, they kind of lose.
Baker Mayfield won in
Larry
2017.
Fitzgerald, the guy that was up against Eli, didn't he lose his bowl game? I mean,
He did to LSU, Jason White. Yeah.
Did he win or did he lose?
He lost. They lost the national championship game to LSU. You might be onto something with the LSU thing. I mean, with the bowl games, especially because the Oklahoma quarterbacks win a lot and they never actually win bowl games.
What did Lamar Jackson do in his bowl game?
And speaking
He got it
of,
by state,
speaking of
didn't he?
Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, which my son's name is Baker, so we kind of like that name.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing well, but he wasn't in the Heisman hunt. So this Heisman hunt thing makes me nervous.
Wait, hold on,
because it's like, is it
Whitney,
more
Whitney.
important-
Hey, Whitney, It's just us friends. So let's, in case you take this elsewhere, Mayfield was absolutely in the Heisman hunt. In fact, he won the Heisman.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can correct me there.
That's okay.
That's fine.
So we had Lamar Jackson. We have Derrick Henry from 2015. Marcus Mariota won it in 2014. I don't know what they did. Jameis Winston won it on the year that he won the national championship.
Okay.
But again, that goes back to my question. What's more important, winning the Heisman or just doing well in the NFL for Ole Miss in general?
The Heisman.
Because when you look at the players that we have that are doing well in the NFL, well, clearly there's more than those that have won the Heisman from Ole Miss, since that's never happened. So what's better for Ole Miss?
I think
the fact that he wins.
I think Lane would very much like to have a Heisman Trophy winner to recruit to.
Yes.
I think having the trophy would be the move here.
Well, who wouldn't want to have a Heisman Trophy winner to recruit for? But in the long term,
I don't know. So your husband disagreed with you, I take it?
No, he didn't disagree with me. He was just trying to get me to call in so I'd make a fool out of myself.
Well, you did not make a fool out of yourself. I don't know that I completely agree with your premise.
Your premise is right. If you're arguing, you get one or the other. A Heisman Trophy, potentially, because think about this.
Or doing well in the NFL.
I guess my point is, Neal,
better for the recruiting.
If you could go back to 2003, would Jason White or Eli Manning have helped Ole Miss more over 10 years?
Eli.
Well, I don't know who Jason White is, so clearly Eli Manning.
I'm making your point for
Jason
you.
White won
let me go with it.
Jason White was the Oklahoma quarterback who won the Heisman.
And I can hear my husband laughing at me in the next ring.
Yeah, I'm making your case. That I found the best case we had.
It's a struggle. You're having to really.
I took a PR class. We'll roll with this
You're
thing.
having to really work hard.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just wonder what's better for recruiting:
winning the Heisman
well
Trophy,
in the NFL, or winning the Heisman.
Winning the Heisman. Matt
Corral.
I'll
go with you on that.
Matt Corral winning the Heisman would be it'd be a really big deal for their recruiting.
Okay, well, so do you think? Okay, but do you? I guess I kind of also feel like the Heisman is almost a curse. It's almost like the SI curse. In some cases, it feels like it is.
Like which?
Like look at Tim Tebow, for example.
Yeah.
You know, he's done nothing.
But he was just. But everybody
talk about football on TV.
But everybody sort of knew he was going to be. I mean, look here. The last.
And what's the other one? What was that guy from A&M? What was
Johnny
his name?
Manziel.
That little mosquito that ran around.
That's a good argument.
Johnny Manziel's a good argument.
And the other argument too, though, the other way, what I said a minute ago is, somebody makes a point in the thread. I mean, it's not like Ole Miss took Eli and ran that into a bunch of quarterbacks they signed over the next 10 years. Like, because it's zero.
But here are the last 20 Heisman winners. Eric Crouch, bust. Carson Palmer, great player. Yeah. Jason White, bust. Matt Leinart had a pretty solid career. Reggie Bush was a superstar. Troy Smith.
For a minute.
The Ohio State quarterback.
He didn't do much, did he?
No.
Tebow, Sam Bradford was kind of
meh.
He's hurt. He's done nothing.
Mark Ingram had a great career. Cam Newton had a very good career. Robert Griffin III had that bad injury. Manziel had a drug injury. Winston's an NFL quarterback.
Drug injury, that's putting it nicely.
Mariota had an okay career. Derrick Henry's a superstar. Lamar Jackson's a superstar. Mayfield, Murray, Burrow, and Smith.
They're on a hell of a run.
They're on a
now.
run. The Heisman.
Some of the problem right now is they're on a run.
Yeah, the Heisman. The last several have been really, really
well,
good.
you have that. You're right on that. They are on a run, but it just does kind of. And what was the guy from Memphis? Oh shoot, I forget his name. The D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, like he was in the Heisman, and he did great.
He did.
In his pro career, not winning it, and who knows?
Larry Fitzgerald finished second for the Heisman.
I mean,
hell of a career, Hall of Famer.
Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning didn't win the Heisman. Look at the career he had. I mean, think about it that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if winning the Heisman will be great for his career, hence being great for Ole Miss recruiting. Like, I don't know. I mean, it could go both ways.
Yeah. Well, hey, Whitney, we really appreciate the call.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I mean, you have to work that argument. She tried.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call. I was not watching. Was there a pass interference call?
I don't know.
On Tennessee?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's gone.
4-1 in the 6th in Atlanta.
Oh, he called. It's kind of interference. I don't have a problem with that.
The Braves are at the swing out of our shoes launch angle portion of the baseball game.
Well, right now, every run's a big one. To me, there's something magical about winning the pennant.
Even if.
Yeah. And especially doing it at home is such a cool thing.
I mean, they haven't won the pennant since '99.
One of my regrets was in 2016 going to Baton Rouge. I should have just gone to Chicago. I would have enjoyed being there that night a lot.
Yeah.
And nobody cared about that game in 2016. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, it's Cole.
Hey, Cole, what's up, man?
Hey, I said Reds by 21, that garbage touchdown.
I thought about you.
Killed it for me. Oh, man. I tell you what, Ole Miss almost went down 14-0, and then from that moment dominated that football game, and that was pretty amazing.
Were you nervous there with LSU headed in for 14-0? How were you feeling at that moment?
Yeah, going to 14-0, I was like, looks like I'm going to be able to get back to Tupelo and start drinking again pretty soon. But no, it turned around. Megan says, "Hey," again. She got to. I had to drive back. She got to. Imbibe
partake in the entire afternoon.
Oh yeah.
With my friends.
With her friend, yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't by myself.
What you feel
But
about
yeah,
it?
that was when they almost took it in 14-0. I was like, yeah, this thing's going the wrong way, and what a turnaround.
By the way, Josh just informed me on Twitter that he is not high.
Oh, okay.
So
really?
there we go.
All right.
We'll
Did you think he was high, nervous, or drunk, Cole?
I don't think. I guess I just missed that.
Oh, did you just now tune in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you just missed it. You ought to go back in a minute and check it out.
Boston jacket.
So next week, what do you think? You said 21 this week. So what is it for next week? What we got, Cole?
I don't know. Next week, I just knew LSU's defense, the pass defense was trash. I figured we'd get up on them early and then we're going to do anything. But God bless, that quarterback looked freaking good there for a while, threw some damn fine passes. Yeah, Megan says we lose by 7 next week.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just know we're going to beat the shit out of Liberty.
That's for sure.
You're going to enjoy that, Cole?
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I might get a massage later.
Yeah.
No, from not at the parlor.
Right.
From my wife.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Megan's shaking her head no.
Yeah, fix that clutch move right there with the wife right behind you.
Yeah. Y'all have a good night, guys.
All right. Later, Cole.
Thanks,
Megan.
Cole. Bye.
Yeah, ULM beats South Alabama 41-31. It's 4 wins for ULM on a season when their Vegas over-under was 1.5 or something.
Oh, was it
like
really?
that. Yeah. They're like 4-3 now.
Tasheem Johnson is incredibly active. That dude is
He
everywhere.
is. Yeah, he is. He's a guy with a bright future. Auburn's not a trap game, Addison. There's no trap about it. It's not a trap.
They're just good.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're making a Hugh Freeze joke, at which it's funny. But no, there's no scenario. I don't even know if there's a scenario where Matt Corral doesn't play that Ole Miss loses to Liberty.
I love fandom because Grind comes in and goes, I don't like how y'all don't feel good about the game. It's making me not feel good about the game. There's like this middle thing of, oh, God, if y'all I do like North Carolina State's weird helmets they wear occasionally. They do a good job.
My brother's in the thread. He says, Bobby. Who's Bobby? Is he referring to I think you're referring to Terry.
Yeah.
But he's not a ULM fan. He did go to ULM for a semester.
Oh, Casey Kelly's been a lifesaver right now.
Played really well.
Miss.
Played really well today. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, it's Mark in Columbus.
Hey, Mark.
How y'all doing?
You almost pulled the upset tonight, Mark.
Yeah, y'all were in it.
Well, I've about quintupled down on Bama Live tonight. -2.5 in the first half and -13.5 during the game in the second half every time Tennessee got close. So, going to lose the under, but maybe cover the full game and the all those live plays on Bama.
Going into the year, was 6-6 good for the Vols?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't matter. He's coached his ass off. They've played their ass off, but it doesn't matter. They've kneecapped the program in January.
What's going to come from this Jeremy Pruitt stuff?
Well, you see, most operations would have just paid the guy in January.
Yeah, amen.
Just get it behind them. But they think they can.
That's the smart thing to do.
I mean, you know, Edo got $17 million, and I promise you, his jacket's a lot messier than Jerry Pruitt's.
Yeah. Oh, they knew exactly what to do with those.
I don't know if that chancellor's a true believer or what.
What's interesting is that LSU absolutely knew that Ed would talk, and so they said, "Screw it, here's your money." Does Tennessee believe that at the end of the day, Pruitt won't talk?
I mean, what's he got to lose? He's already going to get a show cause. Nothing.
He's already out of the college game. He's in the NFL for a while. It's weird.
Kind of what I've heard is he's upside down on a mansion in Knoxville, and he's maybe upside down on a boat in Knoxville. And that might be why he's doing it, to get some money to pay his bills. But still, you could have paid him. He could have gone back to Alabama and been Saban's OC or DC. No one would have been the wiser, and just kind of moved on with life. Jeremy, we owe you 13. Here's 8. Be well. But no. Anywho, yeah. Neal, what'd you think of Woken today on the Travis Tritt thing?
I still haven't had a chance to read it. I've just kind of read some of his.
No, I didn't read it. I just saw it. Oh my God.
I think it's a try hard thing at this point. I honestly believe this about him. Okay, I don't think he's particularly good. I think he's been. He came up in an era when he got that gig at USA Today, and he keeps it because he probably never asked for a raise. But now it's all based on clicks, and he knows for him to keep his job, he's got to get click numbers. And I think deep down he knows he's a crap journalist. He gave away his credibility with the thing with the Tennessee AD. And so he writes things like this that he knows will get clicks on both sides. And from that standpoint, I think he's pretty smart.
Do they, even before COVID, they weren't even paying for him to attend games anymore? Like, does he just tweet from his couch all day? And
I think for the most part, he's just watching the sports world and writing what he thinks.
Yeah, I think so too. He doesn't ever seem to have anything insightful anymore.
Because, I mean, who would listen to a Dan Wolken podcast if he has one?
Oh, I can't imagine.
I mean,
he's pretty educated on tennis. That's about it.
Yeah.
Because Tennessee fans went nuts because all those national guys were all over him over what happened last week. Like it was 9/11 all over again. And I go, people, these national guys don't have any influence or relevance anymore. Stop giving them oxygen. Like, you're only making them important is because you keep tweeting at them 75 times an hour.
Yeah, there are only 2 or 3 national college football writers who I pay any attention to because I know they can get people on the phone at a moment's notice. Staples, Dellinger.
In moments, Bruce still.
Bruce with certain guys still. Thamel, I guess.
Yeah.
But like a Dennis Dodd, like those guys are nailed. Like I think 40's nailing it in.
Yeah, yeah. No, 40 and Wolken and Dodd and those guys, they're like pals. They have like their little fraternity or whatever. And I don't know that anybody pays attention.
I think I'd go on vacation with 40 before I'd have lunch with Dodd.
For sure. I'd go on a vacation with Dodd. Yeah, no.
I mean, they just nailing it in. Like kind of know it's over, and because I'm of the hypothesis that maybe Wolken's not even in the business in a couple of years.
It could
goes and find something else to do.
Unless he keeps getting all the clicks, and it's just easy for them to hang on to him. And if he's not costing them any overhead, and he just writes a column.
Yeah, you're right. Well, congrats, guys. Rooting for you all next week.
Thanks,
Toddy,
Mark.
Toddy.
Call in then.
Thanks, buddy.
Grind says Minnesota's the money team. The country underrated them. What are they doing?
I don't know.
I don't either. You think I'd know being Mr. Big Ten, but I've lost track.
They're up on Maryland 34-16.
Oh.
They're to move to 6-2 on the season.
Oh, how about that?
No, it's final. They're 5-2.
Oh, row your boat.
Yeah, Gophers 5-2. And they have 2 games they'll probably win 2 next weeks. They're probably going to be 7-2. They have Northwestern and Illinois.
How about that?
Yeah. Oh God. Their schedule's well. They got 2 more losses coming. They still got to play Iowa and Wisconsin.
Yeah, but 9-3 at Minnesota is good.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you fired.
Mm-mm.
That's one of those places, if you can ever turn it into a steady 7-8 win job, you could just stay there forever.
Oh.
No one cares.
Yeah.
Who are Ole Miss fans more scared of at this point? At Auburn or A&M at home? It's at Auburn, right?
It's at Auburn for me.
That's a tougher game.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with the home road splits like they are right now.
Yeah. I mean, A&M that's a losable game for sure, but like you'd feel a lot better about Auburn if the Auburn game were at Vaught Hemingway next Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have a totally different feel to it.
The Braves don't blow this. This will be a pretty cool thing in like 45 minutes.
More like an hour.
Okay, fair.
But yeah. It's bottom 6, 4-1 Braves. They've got a chance right here, 2-on, 2 out, to kind of blow it open and make it comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to come up with a name for Bubba's new dog.
Yeah. Y'all can tweet us, put it on the board. We have until Thursday before he calls in to get him one.
Is it a male or female? Do we have to come up with both, a male name and a female name? We're not allowed to assume gender anymore, correct? That's like
correct.
bad.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Can't do that anymore.
Do stuff that works both ways.
Yeah, at Auburn's a much tougher. That's the scarier game for Ole Miss, no question.
He looks like he came in from like Central Casting from a pitcher from the 80s with the mustache. It's like he pitched in the Earthquake game.
When you see like the old baseball cards of the guys that pitched in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
It's hilarious. You have walk on, meat wad, Arch. But if he names it Arch and then Arch doesn't come to Ole Miss, then now you got to live with that for 12 years. I mean, we got a Rizzo. But Rizzo did win us a championship.
He did,
Yeah.
There's a certain Rushmore status
Oh,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure. Who would have ever thought the day that Ronald Acuna got hurt, out for the season, that Atlanta would be 9 outs from a World Series on October the 23rd?
Well, and I mean, the pitching issues they've had, I mean.
Yeah. Notre Dame up 24-16 over USC.
Because, I mean, they're also doing this without Soraka.
Oh, yeah, it's true. What would the Dodgers be with Trevor Bauer and Clayton Kershaw?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
You know. They got theirs, though. It counts, even though it's a weird year.
Yeah, you get the ring.
3 innings away from Braves and Stros.
Yeah, go swing at that.
Good.
Hardman's worried that I'm jinxing the Braves.
He's not doing out countdowns like he's done before. So.
That was the day that you got nervous. You're like, you're going to put us completely out of business.
I thought we were done. Yeah, I mean, I've seen them lose Super Regional Game 3s before. Yeah, no, we're this is it right here. Been real.
I started counting down at like 15.
I'm going to go to French Press in the morning and have a great brunch, and then that's it. It's over.
It's over. When what's-his-face hit the triple, I was like, oh, thank God.
Herzog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, well, they're not blowing it now.
Yeah, it made it 10-4 or something like that.
That is a pretty cool light show they got going on in Alabama.
Oh, it is good. Yeah. Are we doing Dixieland Delight?
Yeah.
I mean, even they're dancing.
All right, Grind has a question for us. He goes, 12-1 Georgia, 12-1 Bama with the SEC crown, 13-0 Cincinnati, 12-1 Pac-12 champ Oregon, 13-0 Wake, 12-1 Ohio State, Big Ten champ, 13-0 Oklahoma. Who's in?
Bama, Oklahoma, Wake.
Yep.
And Oregon or Georgia. I don't know.
It'd be Georgia.
Yeah, or Georgia. Georgia, Alabama.
Cincinnati would get popped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to put the number back up. I got to go back and find the little screen. Sorry.
Anybody's got a thought? Now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time.
Yeah, we're 3:15 in.
Alabama just scored again. Blow that one open. They might end up covering, which would be good. I picked them to. I feel like Albies might do something here. Oh,
Or not. Oh, he walked.
yeah, he took ball 4. That was a hell of an at-bat right there. I mean, you got to have one dialed-in eye to take that pitch. It was low, but it was close.
Bases loaded, 2 outs.
Did the lights just go off? Oh.
No, they're doing
They're doing the choppy thing.
they're doing the thing.
Surprised they can still do that.
It's kind of cool.
Oh, it's real cool. Yes, this is last call. When we get a call, if you've got a call, now's the time to make the call. We're about toast. We'll have 10 thoughts tomorrow, and then we'll get rolling on what will be a
crazy week,
a really big week for Ole Miss. Biggest game week for Ole Miss since, besides Alabama this year, biggest one since
Arkansas 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically not. I guess technically the Egg Bowl 15, because that clinched the Sugar Bowl berth, and had Alabama lost, they would have gone to Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So Alabama 15. Even though it was earlier in the day, we already knew the final by the time Ole Miss State finished. But that's the answer.
Big game. For sure. All right, well, we'll wrap it there. Thanks to everybody who listened. Don't forget, this is brought to you by Walk-Ons. Walk-Ons coming soon to Oxford. If you're interested in working there, you can stop by and apply to join their team. And then if you're in the Jackson area, 720 Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland, stop by Walk-Ons. Enjoy the food. Great beer selection. Great, really great environment. Next week, if you want to watch place to watch Ole Miss and Auburn, that'd be a great place to do it. And enjoy all of their selections. The food's fantastic. The service is great. And please, when you talk to your server, when you talk to the manager, whoever, make sure you tell them how much you appreciate them sponsoring our pregame show and our postgame show. So again, the final: Ole Miss 31, LSU 17. The Rebels now 6-1 overall, 3-1 in the SEC. Headed to Auburn next Saturday. We'll have that pregame show up by next Thursday, and we'll be back with you next Saturday night, of course, for the MPW Digital Postgame Show presented by Walk-Ons. Until then, till Monday, take care.